Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto uses a katana rwby harem. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by rwby15 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Located in an industrial district, the city of Vale resides a certain dance club nightclub that has some questionable ties to the underworld crime network called Ramble and Rogues. The building itself is an old brick building with arched windows. Entrance is via a pair of large sliding doors that open automatically. The dance floor is directly ahead, down a flight of stairs. 6 large crystalline pillars surround the floor, with a DJ's booth located on the opposite side from the entry stairs. The long bar is along the left side of the dance floor. There are several balconies along the walls overlooking the dance floor, connected by stairs. Above the dance floor on the ceiling is a rotating ring-shaped rig of light, laser and holographic projectors. Additional projectors are mounted on fixed rigs between the columns. In a dark-colored bedroom on a red bed is a young man waking up from his dreams and sits up. His name is Naruto Uzumaki, age 17, and he is 5 feet 5 inches. He has a lightly tanned complexion with a spiky yellow blonde hair, 3 feral-looking whisker marks on his cheeks, and he has a pair of fox ears on top of his head. These animalistic traits represent that he is a fauna, specifically a fox faunus. His eyes, however, are a bit unique. Well, he has slit pupils, which is a trait that some faunus possess. The color of his eyes are silver. From what he knows, this is a very rare trait that not many people have. Heck, the number of people he knows with silver eyes can be counted on one hand, excluding himself. That was a good sleep, Naruto says as stretches his arms a bit and cracks his neck. He is also currently naked, showing off his muscular physique. As for the reason why he is naked. Is it morning already? Asks a female voice. It's too early, another female voice says. As both girls get up as well. Naruto looks to his left and right to see 2 attractive girls who are equally naked in bed with him. The 2 girls have a pale white complexion, black hair, pale green eyes, and are at 5 feet 5 inches. He knew the girls in bed with him are twins at 17 years old, and while some people get them confused, he know the differences between both girls. Naruto, can't we stay in bed a bit longer? The girl on his right side asks. This girl is Miltiades Malachite, though she does like to be called by her nickname Melsha. Her black hair is in a short bob style with a straight fringe. She is the quiet and more polite of the twins. Or better yet, we should have a continuation of what happened last night. The girl on his left side says. This girl is Melanie Malachite. She has long black hair with a straight fringe that covers her eyebrows and eyes. She is the strong-willed and more confident of the twins. Come on Naruto, I know you want to. Melanie adds as both twins hug his sides, pressing their well-proportioned bodies. See cups against him. Sometimes he wants to kick his godfather between the legs for cursing him some of his perverse ideals and accurate cup size guesses. As to why he is in bed with 2 attractive twins, well, it's because last night he and the twins participated in a threesome which lasted almost all night. You see, Naruto meet the twins around 2 years ago while on a training journey with his godfather Jiraiya, who was a huntsman. Jiraiya told him that one aspect of being a huntsman was to always have access to reliable information, regardless of where said information came from. So his godfather introduced him to one of his contacts named Hai Xiong, and by working with him, Naruto gained some more experience in information networking. Shortly afterward he meet the twins. At first they didn't talk to him much due to him being new around, keeping things as professional as possible, and the twins having a high standards for boys. Though at the time, while Naruto thought they were pretty, he didn't have an interest in relationships at the moment and he just wanted to be their friends. The results of this were that they eventually opened up to him and they became closer. However, one day the nature of their friendship changed. This was due to Naruto's faunus nature, as once a month, sometimes twice, he enters a heat phase. For females it's a sign for mating, while males it makes certain urges stronger than usual. He doesn't know why faunus need to go through enhanced sexual desires, but it just happens and it's a bit annoying at times. Usually Naruto would just lock himself in a room for a day until it passes and is usually careful so he doesn't do anything he would regret later. However, this time he forgot about the time zones being different, so he went upstairs in the club to hide. This worried the twins as they had never seen him like that, so they opened the door and questioned him on what was going on, and he told them about his heat and told them to leave him alone because he didn't want to hurt them. But to his great surprise, the girls actually offered to help him with his issue, and that is when the Naruto and the girls had their first times. After that night the 3 of them admitted that it was an amazing experience, though Naruto asked what should they do now after having sex, and the girls told him that they became friends with benefits and explained how things would be from now on. While they still had their friendly interactions, they agreed that if Naruto came to Vale during his heat or just casual fun, then they would have sex with no strings attached. While Naruto was a little unsure at first, he eventually agreed with the twins, and that's how things have been for the past couple of years. Though when Naruto told Jiraiya about this, he wouldn't shut up about it and kept asking for details. As tempting as those options sound, I have to be somewhere else today, Naruto says to the twins. Oh, that's right, you are going to Beacon Academy today, right? Milsha asked. Yep, Naruto says. Why do you even need to bother with a place like that? Didn't you learn the most important things about being a huntsman in Bakuo and you're from perverted godfather? Melanie asks Naruto. Bakuo is one of the 4 kingdoms of Remnant, located on the western end of the continent of Sanus, to the west of Vale. It is located the center of the vast and harsh desert. This was the place Naruto was born in and is proud to call it home. Well, I did learn a lot. I still need a legal license to take better jobs. Plus I have a personal reason for this, Naruto replies. Is it about the issue you have? Milsha asks. That's right, Naruto replies. Melanie sighs at the reply. I guess if it's about that, then I guess there is little choice you have. No matter how crazy it sounds. Yeah, so let's get showered and dressed, Naruto says to the twins, and they get ready for the day. Naruto is the first one that gets ready for the day as he has his clothes on now. Naruto wears an orange sleeveless jacket with black highlights on it over a black t-shirt with his emblem, a fox head with 9 tails and a spiral around it, and mesh armor underneath the t-shirt. He also wears orange pants, a black belt, fingerless upper-length black gloves wrapped in studded red-brown leather straps, baggy black pants, and black boots. Can't forget about my weapons now, Naruto says as he puts on a pair of red bracers with yellow highlights on his arms. The bracers are his weapons, but they are currently inactive. I'm heading down first, Naruto tells the girls. Okay. They both reply and Naruto heads downstairs. Once he exits the stairwell, he sees the spacious area of the club. As its morning business is a bit slow at the moment as nothing is open yet, and he see a few people dressed in a black suit with a matching hat and shoes, red sunglasses, and a red tie, with a small amount of variation setting up to begin opening the club. Glad to see you awake on time, Fox. Usually the twins would keep you longer, a man's voice says. Naruto turns to see an exceptionally tall man with a height of 6 feet 11 inches. He wears a black vest over a white dress shirt, a red tie, black gloves and black dress pants. He has gray eyes, short black hair, along with a matching beard and mustache. This is Hai Xiong, though he is better known by his nickname Junior. It took a bit of convincing, but they let me go, Naruto replies back, not bothered by Junior calling him Fox, as that is the nickname Junior calls him rather than a racial slur that other people would say. Man, this place looks a lot better now. Hard to believe a few days ago this place got trashed, Naruto says, as a few days ago a long-haired blonde girl trashed the club, so he helped rebuild it because he had time, and after helping out for a couple of days the twins rewarded him for his help. Yeah, no kidding. Junior grumbles underneath his breath. So anything new going on? I noticed that some of your henchmen are missing, Naruto asks. Yeah, Rome and Torchwick hired some of my men last night, probably for stealing dust, and none of them came back, Junior replies. I see, Naruto says. Dust is very valuable, sometimes more so than lean, remnants currency, because dust powers everything from common household utilities to weapons. The hunters, a gender-neutral term for huntsmen and huntresses, to avoid unnecessary repetition, used to fight, so it's a very big deal. Anything else going on? Naruto asks. Yeah, I think a friend of yours is waiting for you outside, Junior tells him. Who? Naruto asks. I don't know, but he has black hair, silver eyes, and is carrying a mean-looking gun blade. Oh yeah, I think I know him. Thanks for telling me, I'll head out now, Naruto says. Wait. The twins' voices yell. As they approach him wearing their usual clothes. Melanie wears an off-white, strapless dress that graduates to a cyan towards the skirt. It has a cyan layered feathery tulle that hangs longer than the dress and a small bow in the top center part of the dress. A pair of white thigh boots with red lace-up detailing. Melanie's blades are fitted to the rear of the boot, seemingly connected to the heels. Twin silver chains run from the back of the boots, connecting to a layer armored piece on the fronts of the boots. She wears cyan stockings under her boots with lace-trimmed tops that peak above the boots and garter straps that supposedly connect to her underwear. She sports a pair of white forearm-length gloves with cyan lace detailing running from wrist to forearm, accompanied by a silver vambrace on her left forearm. She has a white belt around her waist that has twin silver chains on the front alongside a cyan gemstone in the center, whilst a pair of cyan feather-like wings extended from the back. Her accessories include a white flower-shaped hairpin above her left ear, a white feather scarf with 2 short red feathers surrounding a long cyan feather on the left side. She also sports a silver pauldron on her left shoulder. Milsha wears a red strapless dress that is patterned with newspaper articles, with the heading A New York Law Pop Art die Alberghetti. The dress has black and dark red lace layered tulle that hangs down more than the dress. She has an off-centered bow belt around her waist. She wears a pair of red thigh-high boots with black heels and soles alongside white lace up to tail. Twin silver chains run round from the back of the boots, connecting to layer armor plating on the front of her boots. She wears lacy black stockings that peek out over the top of her boots, accompanied by black garter straps that supposedly connect to her underwear. Milsha sports a pair of black fingerless forearm-length gloves with red lining around the tips of the fingers. Her gloves sport a newspaper design similar to her dress running from the backs of her hands to her forearms, with a light brown frill trim peeking out of the ends. Milsha's weapon sits over her gloves. Her accessories include a large long wing-like red feather and 2 short white feathers above her left ear and a short black fur shrug held by 4 beaded chains with a white gemstone in the center. "You forgot your breakfast," Milsha says. "Thanks Milsha and Melanie." Naruto says, grateful for the food. "Be sure to visit when you can, Foxy," Melanie says with a wink. "I'll try," Naruto replies to her. "Oh, and Naruto, one more thing," Junior says before Naruto leaves. "I have a feeling that things are going to get a lot more interesting around here, so be careful, you're one of the few people I can tolerate," he warns Naruto. "You got it, though trouble always finds me in somehow," Naruto replies as he leaves. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. City of Vale. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Outside the club, Naruto sees the person waiting for him. This person is a guy that has a pale white complexion, silver eyes, spiky black hair with a blue tint, and hair has hung over his face as bangs. He wears a light blue scarf. Along with a grey cloak with black lines, streaming on 4 areas with no sleeves to be seen, as well as his emblem, a red and white Uchiwa paper fan. A purple belt appears as well. Underneath, he wears a grey undershirt with sleeves revealing some skin. Additionally, he uses black fingerless gloves with black pants, ending and tall dark grey boots. On his belt is a dark grey rectangular shaped rifle with a straight single-edged blade attachment on the underside of the barrel, extending past the muzzle. This guy is Sasuke Uchiha, age 17, and he is 5 feet 6 inches, and he is Naruto's longtime friend and rival. "Nice to see you out of the hot desert, loser," Sasuke says. "Nice to see you off the frozen mountain, bastard," Naruto says back as the two stare down at each other. Then they both smirk as they shake hands. "It's good to see you again, Sasuke," Naruto tells him. Their banter from before was just a normal greeting from them. "You too, Naruto," Sasuke says as they start walking to the airport to get ready for Beacon. "So how are things in Atlas since the last time I visited?" Naruto asks Sasuke, who is from Atlas. "You know, still cold in the north and whatnot. The government, military and the academy still function as a single entity. The usual, so nothing really changed," Sasuke replies. "So how are things between you and Sakura?" Naruto asks Sasuke. "I don't want to talk about it now," Sasuke says, wanting to change the topic. "I see. So did you find me the usual way or did you do something else?" Naruto asks. "If by the usual way you mean tracker in your scroll that Kakashi put in all of our scrolls, then yes," Sasuke replies. "Right, Kakashi did do that when we were a team in Vacuo," Naruto says. When Naruto became 11, a new headmaster decided to create a new method of training hunters. This method included a group of 3 hunters in training, learning from an active hunter for at least 3 years as students. Kakashi was their huntsman teacher, and with Sakura the 4 of them made Team 7. Afterwards they can either go to a primary combat school or apprentice under a hunter. For Naruto, he apprenticed under his godfather. Though Sasuke went back to Atlas after his time in Vacuo and Sakura went back to Vale. "We had some fun times back then." "I guess so," Sasuke says as he smirks. "Though it looks like your godfather taught you more about girls rather than being a huntsman." "That's not true, taught me plenty about being a huntsman," Naruto argues back. "Sure he did, and he must convinced one of the girls to help you," Sasuke says, trying to get under Naruto's skin. "The twins have nothing to do with Jiraiya," Naruto says back. As Sasuke looks genuinely shocked. "Twins? You actually had sex with twins on your own?" Sasuke questions. "Why are you even talking about this?" Naruto asks as realizes something. "Are you still mad that I found out you like pervy sage's books?" Sasuke glares at him. "Shut up," Sasuke tells him. "Fine. So what made you decide to attend Beacon?" Naruto asks. "I thought you would have wanted to attend Atlas Academy." "Itachi attended Atlas Academy, I want to walk on a different path than my brother," Sasuke replies. "You say that, but didn't you make Susanoo based on Itachi's weapon Amaterasu?" Naruto asks. "Be quiet, aren't your gauntlets the spiral impact based on your mom's weapons?" Sasuke says back, but realizes he made a mistake when Naruto goes silent for a bit. "Yeah, I guess I did," Naruto says silently. "Shit. Sorry Naruto, that was out of line. Sasuke apologizes. It's okay. I just have a hard time accepting that she is gone sometimes. Naruto says. Naruto's mom Kushina Uzumaki has been dead for about 7 years now. The doctor said that she died of unknown causes, but I know why she died, Naruto thinks as he grabs his stomach for a moment. I see. Sasuke says as they have now reached the airport seeing a bunch of airships. This particular model of airship is used for transporting passengers. They are very slow moving, and each ship has 4 huge moving wings that most likely cannot support aerodynamic lift by themselves. Instead, given the similarity of the wings' motions to those of turtle flippers, they may be part of the steering system. In a design similar to a cruise ship, the stairs near the wings are used for boarding and lead up to the main part of the ship. Airships are also seen with 3 clusters of 3 glowing nozzles each at the back, with another 2 below. The primary propulsion system is powered by dust. This is where we part ways for now. Sasuke says to Naruto. Leaving already Sasuke? Naruto asks. We'll see each other soon enough. Sasuke says as he goes to another airship. Yeah. Naruto says as he eats the breakfast sandwiches Melanie and Milsha made for him as more people start getting ready to board the ship. These are as good as usual. Naruto says. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Inside airship. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. The area inside the airship has a single viewing gallery, approximately 12 feet across, which runs along the bottom of the hull with 4 semicircular windows, mounted at a downward oblique angle, on each side. There is also an open-to-air observation deck at the upper front of the hull. This deck is immediately in front of a set of viewing windows, but it is not clear if it serves as the piloting compartment or part of the passenger facilities. Now the ships begin to take off. After a few minutes due to his heightened hearing, he turns to see 2 girls talking. The first is a fair-skinned young woman who looks to be 17 years old, with a height of 5 feet 8 inches. She has lilac eyes and bright, long, golden hair that fades to pale gold at the tips, with a cowlick sticking out at the top. She is wearing a tan jacket that bears her midriff, with golden brown piping and short puffy sleeves with black cuffs that feature 2 gold buttons. Underneath this, she wears a low-cut yellow crop top with what looks like her emblem on the left breast in black. She also wears a brown belt covered by a pleated brown piece of material, reaching from hip to hip around the back of her waist, with her emblem emblazoned on the rightmost pleat in gold. Underneath this is a long, white asymmetrical piece of material reaching to her knee on the right side, as well as a pair of black mini shorts. She wears a pair of brown knee-high boots and orange over-the-knee socks, with the right sock pushed down just below the knee. The gray bandana is tied around her left knee. An orange infinity scarf and black fingerless gloves complete her outfit. She has an impressive figure, possibly D-cup, and she fits the description of the girl that trashed the Ramblin' Rogues. The second is a fair-skinned young girl who looks about 15 years old, with a height of 5 feet 2 inches. She has neck-length black hair with red tips and surprisingly silver eyes. She wears a black long-sleeved blouse with a high collar and red trim on the sleeves, over which is a black waist cincher with red lacing up the front and a matching skirt with red lining. She also wears a pair of thick black stockings and black combat boots with red laces, red trims around the top, and red soles. Her outfit is topped by a red hooded cloak fastened to her shoulders by cross-shaped pins. Her emblem appears as a large silver buckle on her wide black belt, which is slung around her hips on an angle. Attached to her belt are a pocket and a row of bullets. She seems to be at a B-cup. Damn it, pervy sage, out of all the things to teach me why this? Naruto says to himself quietly as he sees the interactions between the 2 girls. But the 2 girls. Ruby. The blonde girl says as she tackles the black red-haired girl in a hug into her impressive chest. Oh, I can't believe my baby sister is going to beacon with me. This is the best day ever. MRGRG. The girl now identified as Ruby says as she is having difficulty breathing. She escapes by pushing herself off the blonde. Pwah. You almost suffocated me there, Yang. I can't help it. I'm just so darn proud of you. The girl identified as Yang begins to say. Really sis, it was nothing. Ruby tries to downplay it. However, Yang just seems to be more hyped up. What do you mean? It was incredible. You know that thief you fended off the other day? That was Roman Torchwick himself. They say he's a vicious criminal and the most dangerous dude in Vale. To think my own little sister scared him off. That's why they're letting you skip 2 grades and attend Beacon early. Yang stops for a moment to smile and close her eyes for a bit. I always knew you'd make me proud. It just makes me want to shout that the genius girl is here. Okay. Enough. Ruby says to Yang as she heard enough and uses her hands to cover Yang's mouth for a moment. Just kidding, of course, ha ha ha. Yang says as she laughs. Hard to tell when you're actually joking. Ruby says. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. You got to have more confidence, Ruby. Yang tells her. What's with you? Aren't you excited? Of course I'm excited, Ruby begins to say as she sighs. I got moved ahead 2 years. I'm not looking for special treatment. I mean, I had to leave all my friends. I just wanted to graduate Signal and move on to Beacon like normal. I don't want people to think I'm special or anything. Ruby tells Yang. Ruby? Yang says as she goes over to giving Ruby a one-armed hug. But you're special. Back to Naruto. Well, those girls seem interesting. Naruto says as his attention is drawn to the 2D animated newscast on Vale News Network playing nearby, talking about the robbery and showing Roman's mugshot. The robbery was led by nefarious criminal Roman Torchwick, who continues to evade authorities. If you have any information on his whereabouts, please contact the Vale Police Department. Back to you, Lisa. Said a male voice known as Cyril. The mugshot changes to white-haired, amber-eyed women. She is the news reporter Lisa Lavender, with a photo of animal-eared demonstrators holding signs saying "We are not animals." Followed by an image of the logo of a growling red wolf's head with 3 scratch marks. Thank you, Cyril. Lisa says begins to say. In other news, this Saturday's front a civil rights protest turned dark when members of the White Fang disrupted the ceremony. The once peaceful organization has now disrupted. The news feed is cut off as a hologram of a middle-aged woman that has very light blonde hair tied back in a bun with a curl hanging down the right side of her face. Her eyes are bright green and she wears thin ovular glasses. She has dangling teal earrings that match the hanging pendant on her collar. She wears a white long-sleeved pleated top that has a wide keyhole neckline and gauntlet cuffs that flare in pleats at the wrist. Her lower body is covered by a black high-waisted pencil skirt with bronze buttons and black-brown stockings. She wears black boots with bronze heels and a cape that is purple inside and black on the outside. The cut of the cape is stylized to end in flames and arrows, with a row of diamond-shaped bronze beads on the back. She begins to speak. Attention, new students. Welcome to Beacon Academy. My name is Glinda Goodwitch. You are among a privileged few who have received the honor of being selected to attend this prestigious academy. Our world is experiencing an incredible time of peace, and as future huntsmen and huntresses, it is your duty to uphold it. You have demonstrated the courage needed for such a task, and now it is our turn to provide you with the knowledge and the training to protect our world. The identified Glinda finishes her speech, and her hologram disappears. Peace time, she says. Naruto comments quietly. From what I hear, things won't be as peaceful anymore. Naruto says as he hears a passenger groaning and hunched over nearby, running to the back of the ship. Poor guy, hope his air sickness gets better. The ship is seen approaching Beacon across a large body of water. This is a new start. End of chapter. Beacon Academy. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Ding dong was the sound Naruto heard when the ship stopped moving. I guess I'm here now, let's see what this place. Naruto says as he heads outside to Beacon Academy. Wow, look at this place. Naruto says in amazement, and it is pretty amazing to look at, it has the look of a castle. So this is Beacon Academy. A school located in Vale, one of the 4 kingdoms. It, along with the 3 other schools, were founded primarily to educate hunters, the guardians of the world. Hunters train here to battle a particular threat. The Grimm. Pure destruction in physical form. The entrance to Beacon has a long, wide avenue leading up to what appears to be the main academy buildings and their large, impressive main doorway, which opens up to a large amphitheater surrounded by a double ring of colonnades, bisected by the main avenue, with the outer ring rising high over the main entrance to the academy itself. The avenue is marked with trees and flag-draped light poles, as well as a number of impressive aqueduct-like features and archways. In front of the entrance to the main amphitheater is a large statue and fountain of a huntsman and huntress standing atop a rock, beneath which a beowulf cowers. There's also a large circular pond feature surrounded by a pathway and a garden of red trees. The main avenue is also referred to as the courtyard. The most prominent part of the academy buildings is a large tower. The tower was surmounted by a number of green spheres or lights, possibly the beacon after which the academy was named, as well as an intricate clockwork mechanism consisting of many interlocking cogs and gears. Forming the base of Beacon Tower is the Vale CCT, Cross-Continental Transmit System, which allows for seamless communication between locations within the other kingdoms outside of Vale. I heard a rumor that Beacon Academy was built on the King of Vale's castle. Maybe it's true by looks alone. Naruto says as looks at the academy. What to do? Should I look for Sasuke again or should I explore around? Naruto questions what to do next as he walks around not paying attention to where he is going and doesn't pay attention to where he is going as bumps into someone. Sorry about that. Naruto says to the person. The person Naruto bumped into looked to be about 6 feet 6 inches and a typical 17-year-old male. This new person has pale white complexion with burnt orange hair that is combed backward with a slight peak at the front and indigo eyes. He wears silver gray armor with gold trim. His chest plate sports a bird with its wings outstretched. Underneath the armor, he wears a black shirt with red trimmings and black pants with a red sash tied around his waist. He also wears silver gray armored under the knee boots that match the rest of his armor. This person just glares at him. "Watch where you are going, you animal," the armored male said. "I said I was sorry, you don't need to be an ass about this," Naruto says as is starting to get annoyed by the new guy. "I don't think you understand your position here. How about I train you to do so?" the armored boy says arrogantly. Naruto and the armored boy glare at each other, waiting for someone to make the first move. Just as Naruto was about to do something, the armored boy was suddenly replaced by Sasuke. Naruto loses his glare at that moment. "Good of you to drop by, Sasuke," Naruto says to his friend who came out of nowhere. "I see you're still a bit reckless. Starting a fight when we just got here isn't a good thing, Naruto," Sasuke tells Naruto. "True, and I guess I could always fight that guy in a combat class," Naruto says. "Anyway, that semblance of yours is still pretty handy, though I don't see him around here," Naruto says. "Where is that guy?" "Tech there," Sasuke says as he point to the school. Naruto looks and see the armor boy standing on an area of 3 rocks near the school, wondering how he got there. "Ha ha ha. You actually put him there." "I didn't put him anywhere, you know that," Sasuke says. "I know your semblance can swap you with other people," Naruto says. A semblance is the manifestation of one's innate and personal power as an ability unique to each individual, with the effects varying greatly from user to user. While people could have similar abilities, the activation requirement for each power could be different activation requirements. "Though your range has expanded since I last saw it," Naruto comments, knowing his friend got stronger. "What did you call your semblance again?" Naruto asks. "Last time I checked it had a long name." "It's called a Manatejikara," Sasuke says. "Nice of you to notice that. Though it makes me wonder if you got any stronger considering your semblance is very situational, unpredictable, and as you claim is always active." "Hey, Crisis is always active, considering that it's also influenced by my emotions," Naruto says, though it is more difficult to use considering my semblance also makes me more vulnerable to that, Naruto says in a more serious tone. "Right. That is certainly a problem you need to fix." Sasuke just sighs, knowing exactly what is going on with his friend. "But you have been training with Jiraiya for 3 years. Surely you had to have made some progress, right?" Sasuke asks. "Just a little bit," Naruto says with a sigh, obviously not happy with his progress. "But it's the main reason why I chose to come to Beacon." "I see." Sasuke says, not really understand Naruto's reasoning. "So what's next?" he asks Naruto. "I'm going to explore a bit more and try to meet new people," Naruto says in a happier tone. "I think I hear something going on." "Try not to get in trouble this time," Sasuke says. "Come on, Sasuke, this me we are talking about," Naruto says as he walks away. "That's exactly why I said it," Sasuke says aloud. "With Ruby and Yang." Let's backtrack a bit to the ships carrying students and docking at the entrance of the school, and a blonde boy goes over to the nearest trash can, hunching over it as he loses his lunch. Ruby and Yang, alongside several other students, walk out of the ship and head down the paved path to the front of the school. As Ruby and Yang take in the entirety of Beacon Academy, the first thing they said was wow. "Pretty amazing seeing it up close. The view from Vale's got nothing on this," Yang says to Ruby. And after looking around, Ruby suddenly gets starry-eyed. Oh my gosh, sis. That kid's got a collapsible staff. And that one's got a crossbow and a gun lance. And over there? That looks like a fire sword. That's what's impressing you?" Yang asks with a sweat drop. She then notices people staring. "Whoa there, Ruby. Take it down a notch. People are starting to stare," Yang tells Ruby. "Huh?" Ruby says in shock as realized the same thing. Sorry. Don't mind her. She's not a total weirdo, really," Yang tells the bystanders as things start to calm down. "Yeesh. Same old weapons maniac you've always been, huh?" Then Ruby starts to mope a bit. "I can't help it when I see rare weapons," Ruby says. "Still, I bet you'll make new friends fast with that go-get-'em attitude," Yang tells Ruby. Ruby seems surprised by Yang's declaration. "But who says I need friends? I've already got you." "Well," Yang begins to say as she begins to see a group of other students around them as they all dash down the road. Whap! Yang slaps Ruby on the back as she tells Ruby. "Here's your chance to make some friends." "Huh?" Ruby questions to herself as she is pushed by her sister. "Hey, what's the big idea?" Yang. Ruby asks as Yang suddenly leaves Ruby to fend for herself. Sometimes lions drop their cubs off cliffs, you know. Yang tells Ruby as she gets farther away from Ruby. What fable is that? Ruby questions as Yang gets out of sight. Hey sis, wait up. Don't leave me alone here. Panicked Ruby tries running after Yang, not paying any attention to her surroundings and doesn't hear the hey from another, and then crash. Ruby falls backwards as she hits a luggage cart and sends cases flying with some of its contents falling on the ground. Ouch. Ruby says, now on her butt. She soon realizes someone is standing over her. You? What do you think you are doing? The person standing above Ruby is a pale-skinned young woman of about 17 years old. She has pale blue eyes and long white hair that is pulled back into an off-center ponytail or braid on the right side and pinned with a silver icicle-shaped tiara. She stands at 5 feet 3 inches and has a scar which runs vertically down her left eye and face. She wears a thigh-length strapless dress with a faint color gradation from white to pale blue at the hem. A small piece of black lace sits in the front of her neckline, and the hem of the dress is scalloped and stitched to resemble snowflakes, with layers of white tulle under the skirt. Over this, she wears a bell-sleeved bolero with the same color gradation as her dress from shoulder to wrist, lined in red and with a ruffled collar. On the back of the bolero is the snowflake-like emblem. She also wears a small apple pendant on a silver chain and thin, rectangular silver earrings. Her boots are white, wedged-heeled, and higher at the back than the front. They have a small silver decoration across the top of the foot and are lined in red. A thin white sash is tied around her waist with a pouch attached to the back. She also wears heels. Ah. I'm really sorry. I was just panicking and getting up on her hands. Ruby begins to apologize until she gets interrupted by the white-haired girl. You think an apology will settle this? She interrupts Ruby. Ooh, Ruby, still a little disoriented, is all she could say at this moment, not understanding what the other girl is saying. She picks up a vial that fell out of the luggage Ruby knocked over and begins talking. This is refined dust from the Schnee Dust Company itself. A fine mess we'd be in if this had exploded just now. What? Exploded? Ruby questions. Are stupid. The girl says as Ruby is starting to get annoyed. Energy, electricity, technology, dust enhances all these things. It can take the form of basic elements like water and fire. It can even be refined into liquid or powder form for ease of use. However, the process makes dust incredibly unstable and therefore dangerous. The white-haired girl sighs as she finishes her dust lecture, but she still continues on. How did someone ignorant of such elementary principles ever manage to get into Beacon Academy? Actually, aren't you a bit young to be at Beacon? Only the best come to this fine institution in hopes of becoming proud hunters. It's no place for a dull, dim-witted child such as yourself. Get it? Now run home to mommy, why don't you? The white-haired girl finished with insult part for now. Not, Ruby mutters quietly, starting to reach her breaking point with this girl with her hair covering her eyes. I didn't quite catch that. If you want to be understood, try enunciating. The girl tells Ruby. I already apologized, you stuck-up princess. Ruby insults the girl, who looks a tiny bit triggered. And I told you a mere sorry isn't good enough. Or are you a slow learner too? Ruby just stays silent as she is seething with one more push being the trigger. See? You're hopeless. A hopeless child. That was the last straw for Ruby. Child, Ruby repeats as she points at the other girl. Yeah, well, it's not like you're so grown up either with your prissy haircut. Ruby shouts as the other girl actually looked a bit offended. How dare you, is that what you call an apology? The now offended girl asks Ruby. Not knowing that they are both drawing in an audience. I already said sorry over and over. Ruby says to the girl. And proud hunter? Seriously? A jerk with a bad attitude like you could never cut it as a huntress. Ruby finishes talking and stops pointing at the other girl as silence envelopes them for a few moments. Then suddenly Ruby loses her anger as she noticed a sudden shift in the white-haired girl. What's this sudden pressure? Ruby thinks as this might be getting out of hand. Go on. Try saying that again. The white-haired girl challenges Ruby. Enough. That's unbecoming. Suddenly a new voice appeared behind Ruby. This new person is a fair-skinned young woman about 17 years old at a height of 5 feet 6 inches with wavy black hair and amber eyes. She wears a black button vest with coattails and a single silver button on the front. Underneath this is a white sleeveless high-necked crop undershirt and white shorts with a zipper on the front of each leg, emblazoned with the IK logo of the real-life Japanese zipper manufacturer. She also wears black low-heeled boots and full stockings with a color gradation of black to purple at her ankles. Her emblem is visible on the outside of both thighs just below her shorts in white. On her left arm is a black detached sleeve with a silver cuff around her bicep, and black ribbons are wrapped around both forearms. A small, loose black scarf is wrapped around her neck and a gray magnetic backpack is strapped to her back that was hidden by her hair. She kept her weapon attached to the magnetic backpack. A black ribbon is tied with a large bow on the top of her head. She wears purple eyeshadow in cat's eye style. Huh? This girl, where did she come from? Ruby thinks, seeing the black-haired girl who appeared out of nowhere. As bad as the rumors paint about you. The black-haired girl then talks to the white-haired one, as both she and Ruby are confused by what she means. You're Weiss Schnee. Heiress to the mighty Schnee Dust Company. The now identified Weiss looks a bit surprised by this turn of events as the black-haired girl continues. Arrogant. Full of prejudice. How dare you? Weiss says to the black-haired girl. You want to squawk about pride? Try looking at yourself first. Unless you enjoy making a fool of yourself, that's your choice. The black-haired girl says. Weiss gets an angry look as she begins to walk away. I won't forget this. Weiss says as she walks off in a huff as her helpers gather the luggage and follow. Ruby stays silent as everyone around them, including the black-haired girl, walks away, leaving her alone. Ruby sighs and then collapses to the ground on her back. Welcome to Beacon. The cliff you dropped this cub off was a little too high, big sis. She remains this way until a shadow comes over her. She sees a spiky blonde-haired boy holding out his hand. Hey, you okay there? Oh yeah. Ruby replies to the boy. My name is Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. The boy introduced himself. What's your name? Naruto asks. Back to Naruto. Ruby. The girl says while taking his hand to stand up. Ruby rose. Nice to meet you, Ruby. Naruto says to the girl. Nice to meet you too, Naruto. Ruby says, finally meeting someone friendly after her crazy encounter with Weiss. She then notices his fox ears. You're a Fronus, right? Ruby asks, hoping not to sound rude to a potentially new friend. Yep. I'm a fox Fronus and proud of it. Naruto says. He then, noticing Ruby's nervousness, he decides to clear her doubts. It cool you ask me, I'm not offended. Sometimes people don't see my ears, so they ask because of my whisker marks instead. I see. Ruby says as she looks at his ears that move a bit, and Naruto notices this. See something interesting about my ears? Naruto asks Ruby, who now gets a bit embarrassed. And no, it's are your ears soft? Ruby asks. Yes, they are. People have asked me so in the past. Naruto tells her. Can I pet them? Ruby asks without thinking as blushes due to embarrassment. What the heck am I doing? Ruby thinks to herself. Naruto raises his eyebrow in amusement. I think you are the first person to ask to pet my ears during a first meeting. Oh, I am sorry. Ruby apologizes to Naruto. You have nothing to be sorry about, and sure you can. Naruto says as he bends a knee so she wouldn't struggle. Ruby, still a bit nervous, moves to pet his ears. Wow, they are soft. Ruby says, less nervous now, but stops to not impose on him anymore. Thanks. No problem, that felt nice. Naruto says to Ruby. So should we get going to the academy? Ruby asks. Not yet, there is still another person we should meet. Naruto says as hears another person coming this way and turns to see a new person approaching him and Ruby. Hey, you with the blonde hair, come over here. Naruto calls out. The new person is tall young man at a height of 6 feet 1 inch with fair skin, blonde hair and dark blue eyes. He seems quite toned, having strong muscles in his arms, shoulders, and upper chest. Wears a black short-sleeved hoodie with detached reddish-orange sleeves. Covering his hoodie is a white diamond-shaped chest plate cut off above his lower abdomen, and placed over his shoulders are a pair of white spolders with reverses set under them. Below, he wears blue jeans with a white patch placed on the left knee and black sneakers. He has elbow guards with cords strung through them, and he wears black high tops. He has 2 belts crisscrossing his waist, both different shades of brown, with a pair of small pouches on them. John wears brown wrist-length gloves with exposed fingertips and small metal plates over the back. His sword is strapped to his left hip in a sheath that doubles as a collapsible shield. Hi there. The armored blonde says. Hi. Naruto says. Hi. Ruby says at first and then asks, aren't you the guy that threw up on the ship? Beacon inside the walls are filled with scenic trees, arching architecture, and a winding road alongside a river, down which Naruto, Ruby and Jaune are walking. All I'm saying is that motion sickness is a much more common problem than people let on. Jaune says to the group. Ruby laughs at Jaune a bit. Look, I'm sorry. Vomit boy was the first thing that came to mind. Oh, yeah? Didn't you almost cause an explosion? The armored blonde asked. Hey, that incident was an accident. Ruby says. Well, the name's Jaune Arc. Short, sweet, rolls off the tongue, ladies love it. The now identified Jaune says. Ruby looks a bit skeptical while Naruto looks curious. Do they? The two of them ask Jaune. They will. Well, I hope they will. My mom always says that. Never mind. Jaune says with decreasing confidence. Well, the name aside, I think you will get over the motion sickness soon enough. I mean, Fronus have enhanced senses, so some sometimes get a bit disoriented the first few times we get on a vehicle. So you should be fine soon enough. Naruto says to Jaune. Thanks. Jaune says, feeling a bit better now. Ruby giggles before a short awkward silence falls on the group. So I got this thing. She says as pulls out a scythe and stabs it into the ground. The weapon is colored rose red and has black trims, with its large scythe blade forged into a crescent shape. Naruto whistles while Jaune gets surprised. Whoa. Is that a scythe? Jaune asks. It's also a customizable high-impact sniper rifle. Ruby adds to the weapon description. Jaune asks, not sure what she is talking about. Ruby cocks it while smiling, it's also a gun. She clarifies for Jaune. Oh. That's cool. Jaune says. Very impressive weapon you there, Ruby. Naruto says to his new friend. What do you call it? Thanks, it's called Crescent Rose. Ruby tells them. So what have you got, Naruto? Well, the gauntlets on my arms are called Spiral Impact. As for what they do, Naruto begins talking before looking mischievous. You'll just have to wait and see. He tells Ruby. Fine, be secretive. Ruby pouts a bit before turning to Jaune. So what have you got, Jaune? She asks the other blonde. Oh. Jaune begins to say as he unsheathes a blade. I got this sword. It's called Crossy Amours. The sword itself is a simple longsword with a blue handle and a golden cross guard. Ooh oh. Ruby says, interested in the weapon. Yeah, and I've got a shield, too. He gets his scabbard, raises his arm and expands the metal into his defense. The shield is white with a gold trim, displaying what looks like Jaune's emblem in the center. While Ruby seemed to like the weapon, Naruto had a more critical observation of Jaune's sword and shield. He noticed various nicks and scratches on the blade and shield, indicating they had been used over long time of usage. Where the heck did Jaune get those? They look almost ancient. Naruto thinks to himself. So, what do they do? Ruby asks while touching the shield. Jaune fumbles with the shield as it retracts off his arm, expands, and retracts again before putting it back in place and finally shrinking it down for good, placing it on his belt. The shield gets smaller, so when I get tired of carrying it, I can just put it away, Jaune says. But wouldn't it weigh the same? Ruby questions Jaune. Yeah, it does, Jaune said dejectedly. Ruby giggles a bit. Well, I'm kind of a dork when it comes to weapons, so I guess I did go a little overboard when designing it. Ruby admits. Wait, you made that? Jaune. Of course. All students at Signal forge their own weapons. Ruby tells Jaune. Didn't you make yours? She asks him. I'm curious about that as well. Naruto says. Your weapons look like they have been used a lot. It's a hand-me-down. Jaune admits. My great-great-grandfather used it to fight in the war. Sounds more like a family heirloom to me. Ruby says as she laughs a bit. Well, I like it. Not many people have an appreciation for the classics these days. Yeah, the classics, Jaune says, sheathing his sword. As the group keeps moving on, Ruby asks Naruto, so would you help me out back there? In the courtyard? And asks Jaune why he decided to walk with him. Well, because I wanted to. Naruto says as it is the simplest reasoning ever. Why not? My mom always says, strangers are just friends you haven't met yet. Jaune says while walking alongside them. Ruby says as she looks around. Hey, where are we going? Oh, I don't know. I was following you, Ruby. Jaune says. But I was following Naruto. Ruby says. I was just walking with you too. Naruto admits to his new friends. Then he glass-domed building. However, I think we should go in that building. Naruto says. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Beacon Amphitheater. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. The group enters Beacon Academy's giant auditorium, filled to the brim with people. Ruby looks over when she hears Yang's voice. Ruby? Over here. I saved you a spot. Yang says, waving to Ruby. Ruby turns to Naruto and Jaune. Oh. Hey, I gotta go. I'll see you after the ceremony. Ruby says as she leaves. Hey, wait. Jaune calls out. He then sighs. Ah, great. Where am I supposed to find another nice quirky girl to talk to? Don't worry, Jaune, we'll still see Ruby around. Besides, there are still plenty of people to meet. Naruto says as he spots Sasuke in the crowd, though he looks a bit annoyed. Speaking, one of my other friends is here, I'll see you later, Jaune. Naruto says as he walks away. Yeah, sure. Jaune says to himself. As he moves on, a red-haired girl who was standing a few feet behind him with a hand on her hips as she watches him walk away. Naruto then reaches Sasuke's location and begins talking. Hey, Sasuke, still trying to be antisocial? Shut up, stupid. I'm not in the mood. Sasuke says, clearly irritated. Whoa, take it easy. What happened when we separated? Naruto asks his friend, who is usually more collected than this. Sasuke just breaths in and out before talking. Sorry, but just had an encounter with an overly hyper girl that was on a sugar rush. He tells Naruto. How the heck did that happen? Naruto asks. Apparently she saw me use me semblance and thought it was neat, so she kept bugging me until I got out of there. Sasuke says. Wow. Naruto says, shocked that someone was able to get under Sasuke's skin like that. I wonder this girl is. Naruto thinks to himself. With Ruby and Yang. Once Ruby arrives at Yang's location, she crosses arms looking a bit irritated. How's your first day going, little sister? Yang asks Ruby. You mean since you ditched me and I exploded? Ruby says as she is feeling annoyed. Yikes. Meltdown already? Yang asks Ruby. Ruby scoffs, beginning her tale. I tripped over some crabby girl's luggage and then she yelled at me and then I tried apologizing and she wouldn't take in and then she insulted me and we started arguing and things almost got out control until someone else stepped in. Ruby finishes telling Yang. Yikes. Was all Yang could say, feeling a bit guilty for leaving her sister behind. As things were getting awkwardly quiet, suddenly someone appears behind Ruby and taps her. Guess who? Says an excited female voice. The startled Ruby quickly jumps into her sister's arms at that action. What the heck? Ruby yells in shock. Then once Ruby and Yang get a look at the tapper, they recognize this female. The female in question is a petite androgynous medium brown-skinned female at a height of 5 feet 3 inches. She wears an orange clip in her short layered mint green hair that matched her orange eyes. Her outfit consisted of a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, white boots, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. She also carried a cylindrical object in red wrapping on her back, most likely where she is keeping her weapon. Hi there. She says, smiling. FK. Yang says to her friend from Signal. Seriously FK, are you trying to give me a heart attack? Ruby asks down and feeling a bit unhappy for her friend's surprise. Sorry Ruby, I was just happy to see you two again. FK says to Ruby. Though I'm surprised to see you here Ruby. I thought you were still at Signal. Yang chooses this moment to speak and put Ruby in a one-armed hug. Well, Ruby here managed to do something great and got moved up 2 years. That's awesome Ruby. FK says. Really, it's not that big of a deal. Ruby tries to downplay it. Back to Naruto. Then Naruto's along with everyone's attention is now drawn to the stage, where a middle-aged man at the height of 6 feet 6 inches with tousled silver hair and thin brown eyes appears readying the microphone. He has a light complexion and sharp facial features. He also has black eyebrows. He wears shaded glass spectacles and a small purple cross-shaped pin on the cowl around his neck. His outfit consists of an unzipped black suit over a dark green button vest and green shirt. He also wears black trouser shoes and long dark green pants. In addition, he carries a long cane that doubles as a walking stick. Its handle is embellished with a pattern and there is a large knuckle guard that reaches down the bottom of the handle. The larger area at the bottom of the handle contains small gold-colored gears. The shaft of the cane has a gray-black coloration and appears to be square in shape as opposed to most canes, which have a round shaft. Naruto recognizes this person as Professor Ozpin and beside him is Glinda Goodwitch. Ozpin now begins talking. I'll keep this brief. You have traveled here today in search of knowledge, to hone your craft and acquire new skills, and when you have finished, you plan to dedicate your life to the protection of the people. But I look amongst you, and all I see is wasted energy, in need of purpose, direction. As the students whisper among themselves, you assume knowledge will free you of this, but your time at this school will prove that knowledge can only carry you so far. It is up to you to take the first step. With that said, you're still students. Let's make these school years fun, okay? Ozpin finishes talking. As Ozpin leaves, Glinda steps up to talk. You will gather in the dance hall ballroom tonight. Tomorrow, your initiation begins. Be ready. You are dismissed. Glinda says as everyone starts to leave the auditorium. Where are you going Naruto? Sasuke asks. I'm going to explore a bit more. Naruto tells Sasuke. Professor Goodwitch told us to gather in the dance hall. Sasuke reminds his friend. She told us to gather tonight Sasuke. It's still daylight out, so I'm going to do something. Sasuke just sighs knowing Naruto will do what he wants at times. Do what you want, just don't get lost. Sasuke says walking to a new destination. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X Beacon Academy. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Back at the academy grounds, Naruto has been walking around for a good while getting used to the school. Okay, I think I have a good idea of the layout of Beacon. I should probably head to the dance hall soon, though I feel like I should try to interact with more people before I head back. Naruto says aloud, thinking of his options. As he is thinking, he hears someone complaining. Wait, is that Naruto thinks as he sees someone he honestly didn't expect to see. How dare they? Those no good. The person complaining is Weiss, a bit livid on how things have been today. Wow, didn't expect to see you here, princess. Naruto says. Weiss looks to see the blonde. Oh great, Naruto. Weiss says, exasperated. Hey, it's been 4 years since we last talked and that's how you greet me? You don't write or call. It makes me think you don't like me. Naruto asks. Though I wouldn't expect anything less from you. He says to her. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at Shade Academy since you are from Vacuo? Weiss asks, clearly not in the mood for a talk. I could be asking you the same thing. Shouldn't you be at Atlas Academy since you are from Atlas? Naruto asks back. Weiss just HMPHS, choosing to not answer him. Still as antisocial as ever, I see. Naruto teases her but then notices something about her. You have a scar. Naruto comments. Weiss' hand twitches a bit. What of it? Weiss asks. Are you alright? How did that happen? Naruto asks her. I got it fighting a Grimm. What wrong with that? Weiss asks, not backing down. Naruto smiles at Weiss's declaration. Nothing at all. You've changed since we last met. How so? Weiss asks, confused by what he meant by that. The Weiss I knew met at Atlas 4 years ago focused on a lot on doing everything correctly within her comfort zone. Naruto begins to explain. That scar on your face tells me that you have decided to take more risks to improve yourself. You have gotten stronger, Weiss. Naruto tells her. Weiss genuinely smiles at that comment. Maybe I'm closer to my goal than I thought I was. Weiss thinks. Thank you, Naruto. Weiss says. Naruto looks at her now and notices how pretty she has gotten. He had always thought Weiss was a pretty girl even when they were younger, but now it more so. He noticed that she was wearing heels, so her height must be 5 feet without the heels, and she is developing well, possibly a B cup, though her clothing made it hard to tell at first. While she was on the more petite side, it works for her. That was when Naruto notices something on her neck. You're still wearing that necklace I got you for your birthday. Naruto says. It's a nice necklace, so it would be a waste to not wear it. Weiss says. I see. Naruto says as gives Weiss a one-armed hug on her left side. I knew you liked me. Naruto says in a teasing tone. Suddenly Weiss's face turns red and she grabs her and attempts to stab Naruto with it but ultimately fails due to him jumping back, landing on a tree. Weiss's weapon is a standard sized for a rapier and primarily silver gray in color. The hilt possesses 4 prongs that encase the revolver-like chamber around the ricasso instead of a bow-type handguard that is common among most rapiers, in a manner somewhat alike to a swept hilt. This mechanism can be controlled by the sword hand, enabling her to seamlessly cycle the chamber in combat. There are 6 slots in total, each of which contains a vial of dust. The revolving chamber is constantly stocked with red, cyan, violet, white, yellow and blue dust. What do you think you are implying, you stupid fox? Weiss yells out at him. Naruto laughs at her reaction. That's the princess I remember. Naruto says, amused by the situation. That reminds me of when we played tag and if I remember correctly you are still it. Naruto says to her. If you want to continue that game then how about you come down here? Weiss challenges him. That's not how this game works, princess. If you want me you have to come and get me. Naruto says teasingly before disappearing. Get back here, you stupid fox. Weiss yells at Naruto, though he is already gone by that point. Geez, you haven't changed at all. Weiss says, annoyed, but if one were to look carefully, you could see a very small smirk. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX boys. Once Naruto in his pajamas, which is just orange pajama pants and being shirtless, he goes to his assigned to his bed, he dropped his stuff on the ground and began to prepare for bed. Naruto then noticed Sasuke on the bed next to him looking annoyed again in a modest yukata with a red and white fan emblem. "Hey Sasuke, are you okay? I don't want to talk about it. Just go to sleep." Sasuke says, ending the conversation before it could begin. "Geez. Okay, have it your way. We'll talk tomorrow," Naruto says as he falls asleep, or would have if he didn't hear a conversation with Ruby and Yang. Ruby, in her pajamas and with a sleeping mask around her head, is writing in a journal when Yang crashes next to her in her pajamas. Ruby's pajamas consist of a black tank top featuring a heart-shaped Beowulf design on the chest and long white pants decorated with pink roses. She also wears a black sleeping mask decorated with triangular red eyes. Yang's pajamas consist of an orange tank top with her emblem on the front in red and black boy shorts. "It's like a big slumber party," Yang says excitedly. "I don't think Dad would approve of all the boys, though," Ruby says, not looking up. "I know I do. Yang purrs as she watches several muscular, shirtless guys and Jaune, dressed in blue full-body pajamas with blue bunny slippers and a white bunny face on its chest. He waves to her, which makes her groan before she returns her attention to Ruby. What's that? A letter to the gang back at Signal. I promised to tell them all about Beacon and how things are going. Ruby tells Yang. Aw, that's so cute. Yang says before she is knocked back because of a pillow is launched at her face by Ruby. Shut up. I didn't get to take my friends with me to school. It's weird not knowing anyone here. Ruby says. Well, you already know FK from Signal. As for Jaune, he's nice. Then there's that foxy friend of yours Naruto. Yang mentions to Ruby. Making 2 friends in one day is a good thing for you, Ruby. Ruby groans at Yang's pun at Naruto and sits up. It's just that one girl was the worst. She kept yelling at me even after I apologized. Ruby begins talking. Supposedly she's some kind of fancy heiress or something. Totally the wars, Ruby says before she is interrupted. Only the heiress to the Schnee Dust Company. A familiar voice makes itself known. Ruby flinches as she turns her head to see Weiss on the bed next to hers. Weiss's pajamas consist of a faded blue nightgown with short sleeves and white trim and display the Schnee crest on the upper right chest. She also wears her hair down. Ack. You again. Don't bunk next to me. Ruby yells. You truly believe I would choose this spot? Weiss says, getting annoyed by Ruby. Come on now. Yang says, trying to defuse the situation. Anyhow, you should really learn to. Weiss begins telling Ruby until she gets interrupted by another familiar voice. You two again. The black-haired girl from before says. Honestly, you're like cats and dogs. She is seen on the bed next to Yang's and is holding onto a book. Her pajamas are a black long-sleeved yukata-style shirt with white edging over a purple undershirt and a matching skirt. A black obi is wrapped around her waist and tied with a black and white string. She is also wearing the black bow. You, from earlier. How dare you, Weiss begins to say before Yang interrupts her. Chill out, everyone. Yang says to everyone. You too, Ruby. Including Ruby, who gives Yang the stink eyes. Come on. Obviously fate keeps bringing us together, so let's make up and start over. K. Yang says to the other 3 girls. I'm Yang, Ruby's big sister. Yang introduces herself and then points to Ruby. And this little one is Ruby. Yang introduces Ruby, who is still giving the stink eyes. Yang then turns her attention to Weiss. You must be Weiss. Weiss just HMPHS at Yang, not answering her. Wow. Like a real live princess. Adorbs. Yang comments on Weiss. And Yang turns her attention to the black-haired girl, but she doesn't know her name. Blake. The black-haired girl identifies herself. There. Yang begins to say. Pretty sure we're all friends now. Sorry for being so pushy. Ha ha ha. Yang says as everyone is silent at first until someone breaks the silence. Little sister, huh? Weiss begins to say as she turns to Ruby. That means you're the great skipper. What about it? Ruby questions. Oh. Nothing really. Weiss begins to say. It's ridiculous that a dim-witted child wants to become a huntress that badly. I take it you came to this school without any particularly grand goals. Cut it out, you two. For real. Yang says to Weiss. Ruby is quiet for a moment and then she remembers that Ozpin asked her why do you hope to become a huntress. And then she answers back. I have a dream. She says as the other 3 girls pay attention to her. Ruby? Yang says, wondering what Ruby is going to say. Child or not, dim-witted or not. I don't care what anyone calls me. Ruby starts to say with confidence. I know what I want to be. I've decided to become a hero who saves everyone. Like in the storybooks. Ruby says as everyone looks at her. That's very ambitious for a child. Blake begins to say as her smile turns into a frown. Unfortunately, the real world isn't the same as a fairy tale. Well, that's why we're here. To make it better. Ruby confirms. Well said. Oh, I am so proud. Yang begins to say as she hugs Ruby into the air. And your bid sis is along for the ride, cause we're gonna become huntresses together. MRGH. Ruby says being hugged into Yang's chest. HMPH. Talk is cheap. Weiss says. Back to Naruto. It sounds like things are going to fun here at Beacon. Naruto says quietly to himself as he falls asleep. End of chapter. Beacon Dining Hall. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Dressed in their main attire they went to the dining hall. They had breakfast, which was pancakes for the new students. "So what happened last night, Sasuke?" Naruto asks his friend. "You were more irritated than I have seen you in a while." Sasuke just sighs first before talking. "I met two hyper girls yesterday and they gave me a headache." "Wow." Naruto says in shock. "They were that bad?" "Yes." Sasuke begins to say. The first girl who saw my semblance had orange hair, wouldn't shut up until her boyfriend pulled her away. The second girl who had green hair kept talking about making 100 friends, playing cards, and even suggested this insane idea to bath together with other people. Sasuke finishes looking a bit annoyed remembering the events yesterday. That last one sounds like a good time. Naruto says to Sasuke with a smirk. Shut up stupid, this isn't funny. Sasuke begins to say. It got to the point I had to use my semblance to get away from her. Yikes. Naruto says knowing that kind of interaction was out of Sasuke's comfort zone. Remembering the annoyance of yesterday makes Sasuke keep on complaining. That wasn't even the worst part, they both tried to bring back that accursed nickname. Sasuke says, but he realizes his mistake too late. Ha ha ha. Naruto laughs a bit. You mean they both called you Naruto begins to say until he gets interrupted. Hey Duckbit, good morning. A new voice made itself known. The voice belonged to a green-haired girl with orange eyes and a dark skin tone wearing white clothes. God damn it. Sasuke says under his breath as Naruto laughs at his expense. I told you my name is Sasuke. Sasuke says to the green-haired girl before punching Naruto in the gut. Ah. Naruto says after Sasuke punched him and quickly recovers. What was that for you bastard? Naruto asks a bit angered. Because you wouldn't stop laughing loser. Sasuke say back to Naruto. You wanna go Duckbit? Naruto says standing up getting ready for a fight. Sasuke stands up too. Bring it Fuzzface. Sasuke says. Both friends glare at each other, Sasuke getting ready to use his weapon while Naruto was getting ready to activate his gauntlets. The green-haired girl gets between them and begins to talk. Hold on a minute you two, the only fights that should be fought here are food fights. The green-haired girl said. My new friend shouldn't act like this at all. Her comments diffuse the situation a bit. She then turns to Naruto, come on let's The girl begins to say, but as she grabs Naruto's hand a shock goes through both of them and she lets go. I'm FK. What's your name? The now identified FK asks in a more subdued tone than before. I'm Naruto. He says to the girl also subdued a bit. Well I guess I'll see you two around. FK says as she leaves the two boys. What was that just now? FK thinks to herself. Naruto just opens and closes his hand as Sasuke walks to his side now calmer. What was that all about Naruto? Sasuke asks. I couldn't get her to be quiet but with a handshake you made he stop talking. I'm not 100% sure Sasuke. But if this is what I think it is then these next 4 years will be very complicated. Naruto says to his friend cryptically. I see. Sasuke says not sure what Naruto is talking about at the moment. So did you meet anyone worth mentioning or what? Sasuke asks. Naruto gets more cheerful. Well I meet this girl named Ruby who skipped 2 grades. Impressive. Hopefully she'll be up to the task. Sasuke says about Ruby. Naruto continues. I also met Princess yesterday. Princess? Sasuke questions for a second before it hit him. You met Weiss here? Yep. And she is still fun to tease. Naruto says with a grin. Right. Sasuke says with indifference to Naruto's comment. Anyone else worth mentioning? Naruto then gets a bit more serious. Well I met this guy named Jaune, but Naruto begins to say. But what? Sasuke asks. It's just Jaune seems off somehow. Naruto admits. How so? Sasuke asks getting curious now. Well for starters he has a sword and shield that look like they should be in a museum or antique shop. The second is that he doesn't seem to be radiating an aura. Naruto says. Aura is an ability that all those with a soul can use, at least with enough practice. Because aura is the manifestation of the soul, it can appear very differently depending on who is using it and awakens in different ways. Anything with a soul has the potential to awaken an aura. This includes humans, faunus, and even animals can generate an aura. Aura also powers one's semblance among other things. The creatures of Grimm are soulless beings, so they don't have aura. Are you serious right now? Sasuke asks in disbelief. Naruto, if this Jaune guy isn't radiating an aura and that's not due to his semblance, then he's going to die. Sasuke says with no nonsense tone. I know. But there is something fishy going on. There just has to something we're missing here. Naruto says. I hope you're right Naruto or else your new friend is going to be a dead man sooner rather than later. Sasuke says as they both move on to the next location. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Beacon locker room. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. With Ruby and Yang. The Beacon locker room is a unisex locker room with washroom facilities is also present. Here we two new people readying themselves in the locker, a male and a female. The male is a pale-skinned young man around 17 years old with long black hair that ends midway down his back. There is a magenta streak on the left side of his hair. His eyes match the streak in his hair. He wears a dark green, diagonally buttoned, long-sleeved tailcoat that is red on the inside, with black and gold trimming and pink cuffs. The trimming goes down the right side of his torso and forms a black collar. Along with this, he wears a black long-sleeved shirt beneath a suit and light tan pants with black shoes. He ties his hair back in a low ponytail. He is seen loading his weapons, a pair of green fully automatic pistols with sickle-like blades, attached vertically under the barrels and extended magazines. The female is a fair-skinned young woman around 17 years old with orange hair and turquoise eyes. She wears a collared black sleeveless vest with a blue central front section with red accents. Her vest has her emblem on the back. Under the vest, she wears a white sleeveless t-shirt with a heart-shaped cutout above her breast line in the center, accompanied with a pair of white detached sleeves on each arm. She sports a short pink skirt with a single white layer under it. Her wide ankle boots sport pink soles with part of her emblem, the lightning bolt, on them, and low heels with pink laces. The tops are folded over, revealing the pink lining. She also wears a silver armor piece that wraps around waist, under her breasts and around the back on her neck, with metal connecting each piece together at the front. She is currently talking to the boy. "I know. We'll have some sort of signal. Like a distress signal." The orange-haired girl says excitedly, then gasps. "A secret signal so we can find each other in the forest. Can you imitate a sloth?" "Nora?" the male replies. "Yes, Ren." The now identified Nora says. The now identified Ren sheaths his weapons in his sleeves. "I don't think sloths make a lot of noise," he comments. Nora thinks about this for a moment. "That's why it's perfect. No one will suspect we're working together," she comments on her idea. "Come on, Nora, let's go," Ren says, smiling and shutting his locker. "Not together, Nora says and giggles. Ren heads out while a skipping Nora follows, passing Ruby Rose who is sitting on a bench and Yang Xiaolong as they are busy readying themselves. "Wonder what those two are so worked up about?" Ruby asks. "Oh, who knows?" Yang says as she notices Ruby sighing. "Still down in the dump, huh? What is it this time?" Yang asks Ruby. "It's just yesterday was such a mess," Ruby begins to say as she remembered her first encounter with Weiss. "And rumor has it they're going to use today's initiation to split the class into teams." "Ah, right. That," Yang says, remembering the rumor. "I hear your team members become your roommates too," she adds. "Yeah. It's no laughing matter," Ruby says. "It's going to be rough for you, Ruby, given how shy you are," Yang says. "I just don't know what I'll do if you're not on my team. I'm just not sure I can do this," Ruby admits her worries. Yang is silent for a moment before giving a response. "How about teaming up with Weiss?" Yang teases. "Sis," Ruby says, not liking the idea while Yang laughs a bit. "Just remember what you're here for." Yang begins to encourage Ruby. "This is all to become the huntress you've dreamed of being. Right? Would you mind not sticking to me like glue, Jaune?" Weiss's voice suddenly appears. "Oh, speak of the devil," Yang says due to talking about Weiss not too long ago. Jaune is seen holding a rose to Weiss as she is trying to walk away from him as he talk and flirt. "Aw, don't be like that, Snow Angel. The instant I spotted you at the entrance ceremony I felt it, the call of destiny. I would simply love to team up with someone as exquisite as you." Jaune keeps talking as Weiss is starting to look annoyed. "We're a match made in heaven, don't you see? You're the princess and I am your chevalier," he says, hoping to impress her. "When I find myself in need of a knight who reeks of vomit, you'll be the first to know," Weiss tells Jaune, clearly not affected by his flirting. At Weiss's declaration, Jaune suffers a massive blow to his ego and cracks it like glass. "Reeks of vomit," Jaune says as he loses the rose and begins to fall backwards until someone put a hand on his back to prevent the fall. This person is a pale-skinned young woman around 17 years old with red hair and a waist-length ponytail, curled slightly into a loose ringlet. She also wore light green eyeshadow around the far upper corners of her green eyes. She is around 6 feet tall. As a top, she wore a brown overbust corset with a vertical strip of lighter brown in the center. Additionally, she wears an elastic black A-line miniskirt and brown opera-length gloves on both arms. She wore a red ankle-length sash that wrapped around her skirt. As for accessories, there was a small circular bronze plate on her right hip opposite 2 pouches, with both connected to a belt. The plate bore her emblem. Underneath her hair, she always wore a brown circlet adorned with a pair of small green teardrop-shaped emeralds on thin chains. She also sported a large bronze gorget around her neck and a bronze bracelet on the upper half of her left arm. She also wears armor. She had elaborate bronze greaves that started below her mid-thigh before continuing downwards into her boots, as well as a pair of cuisses that began mid-thigh and ended slightly above her knees. She was also equipped with a bronze bracer atop a sleeve on her left arm. Her high-heeled boots were brown with bronze trim, matching her skirt and sleeves and reaching up to mid-calf. Are you okay? The red-haired girl asks Jaune. Wouldn't want you getting hurt just before the initiation. Thanks. Jaune says to the red-haired girl, a bit embarrassed at first. Of course. The girl says. Who are you exactly? Jaune asks the girl. Sorry. My name is. The new girl is about to introduce herself before she gets interrupted by Weiss. Really, Jaune? Weiss begins talking. You don't recognize Nikos? Oh? Huh. Is she someone famous or something? Jaune asks. You're unbelievable. Weiss begins to say. Pura graduated top of her class at Sanctum Academy. Oh? Jaune reacts, not following what Weiss is saying. Weiss then scoffs. She's won the Mistral regional tournaments 4 times in a row. Which is a new record. The what? Jaune says in confusion. Weiss then waves her arms rapidly in anger. She's on Pumpkin Pete's packaging. She tells him. Jaune suddenly gasps. That's you. They only choose ridiculously famous athletes and cartoon characters to go on those boxes. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Sadly, the cereal isn't very good for you. Pura says. Personally, she's my top pick for a teammate and I doubt I'm the only one. Weiss says. Thanks, I'm honored. Pura says. Edit. You're way out of your league. Weiss tells Jaune. Alright, loud and clear, Jaune say, his head hanging down. I wouldn't put it that way, Jaune. Pura says, trying to cheer up Jaune. Really, Pura? Jaune asks. Besides, it's supposed to be teams of 4. Pura says. Perfect. That means we can all be on the same team. Jaune says in an excited voice. Don't you dare speak for me. Weiss tells Jaune. Sounds like Pura's on board for Team Jaune. Spots are filling up quick. Now, I'm not supposed to do this, but maybe I could pull some strings, find a place for you. What do you say? Jaune says, trying to win Weiss over again. That's too close. Weiss tells Jaune as she steps back a bit. Pura, a little help, please. Weiss asks Pura for some assistance. Jaune looks back just in time to see Pura weapon strike him and send him flying into a locker. I'm sorry. Pura apologizes to Jaune. An announcement with Glinda's voice plays on the intercom system. The initiation is about to begin. First years, please proceed to Beacon Cliff immediately. Weiss passes Jaune as he hangs from the wall of a locker on her way out. Pura follows her, grabbing her spear and dropping Jaune to the ground. It was nice meeting you. Pura says to Jaune as she walks away. Likewise, Jaune says, slumping against the locker. Yang and Ruby approach Jaune afterwards. Having some trouble there, Lady Killer. Yang says to Jaune. I don't understand. My dad said all women look for is confidence. Where did I go wrong? Jaune says as he accepts Ruby's offered hand and uses her to lift himself back up. Yang gives her reason to Jaune. Snow Angel probably wasn't the best start. Come on, Jaune, let's go. Ruby says as leads Jaune out of the locker room by supporting him and his damaged self-esteem. Back to Naruto. Then as the groups leave the locker room, Naruto and Sasuke show up, appearing from behind the lockers, indicating that they heard and saw everything. They talk and walk at the same time. So why did you make us hang back, Sasuke? Naruto asks. I wanted to get a better picture of who our future classmates will be like. Sasuke explains. What did you find out? Naruto asks. Jaune's is fishy. Something just doesn't seem right. Sasuke says. I had a feeling that would be the case. Naruto says. Next is Pura. Mistral's invincible girl. Sasuke says. I hope she lives up to her reputation. Naruto says as Sasuke nods. Next is Ruby, the grade skipper. Her reactions are normal considering her age. But Sasuke says as he gives Naruto a slightly irritated look. What's with that look, Sasuke? Naruto asks Sasuke. Why didn't you tell me Ruby has silver eyes? Sasuke counters. I guess it slipped my mind. Naruto says with a shrug. Be serious, Naruto. Sasuke tells his friend. I am Sasuke. Naruto begins to say. When we meet, Ruby had no reaction to my eyes. That tells me that there is a good chance that she doesn't know about her potential. Sasuke just slaps his head into his hands. Great, just great. Sasuke says sarcastically. So we have an ignorant 15-year-old and a dead man walking as our classmates. This is going to suck. Don't be such downer, Sasuke. Naruto begins to say. If it comes down to it, we can help guide them. I guess so. Sasuke says as they both leave to the initiation site. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X Beacon Cliff. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Now at the Beacon Cliff, overlooking a forest, where several students are standing in front of a mug holding Professor Ozpin and Glenda with her tablet. For years, you have trained to become warriors, and today, your abilities will be evaluated in the Emerald Forest. Ozpin tells the students. Now you have heard rumors about the class being divided into teams of 4. Glinda begins to say. Perfectly true. The results of this initiation will be the deciding factor in forming those teams. So don't think about whom you'd like to be teamed up with too much. Glinda tells the students. Ruby groans, feeling less comfortable with the situation. However, Weiss and Jaune flinch a bit because they had some preferences in mind. That being said, once the initiation begins and you touch down in the woods, you and the first person you make eye contact with will become your partner for the next 4 years. Ozpin tells everyone. Ruby's shocked expression mirrors her world, cracking like glass and falling apart, really not liking this. What? See? I told you, Nora tells Ren. However, Naruto and Sasuke have the same thought process. What the actually hell, is Ozpin out of his mind? Deciding partners based on eye contact, that's a terrible way of pairing people together. They thought this because when they were assigned teams in Vacuo, they were built gathering data like abilities, weapons, semblances, and personality traits to set up teams. They even went as far using past data of a team with a good record to influence a team. So to Naruto and Sasuke, the setup is random and chaotic. After you've partnered up, make your way to the temple ruins in the northern end of the forest and retrieve a relic from within. You will meet opposition along the way, as these woods are home to many Grimm. Each is a threat in its own right. Should you let your guard down, even your extensive training won't save you. So don't hesitate to destroy everything in your path or you will die. Ozpin tells the group. Jaune laughs nervously and then gulps loudly. Naturally we will be monitoring, but don't expect any assistance from us. It's up to you to ward off any and all dangers. Ozpin tells the students. That's the gist. Any questions? Ozpin asks. I have a question here, Headmaster. Jaune asks, raising his hand. Great. Now, take your positions. Ozpin tells the students. Everyone strikes a pose. Nora and FK crouches low, Ren and Sasuke wield their weapons, Yang and Naruto raise their fists, Ruby readies her body, and Jaune is still raising his hand. Headmaster. What's this about touching down in the woods? Jaune asks. I mean, how exactly do we get down? Jaune begins to say as a symbol for dust activation triggers propelling everyone from the cliff at the same time. Did Jaune Arc have something to say just now? Glinda asks. Perhaps he did. Ozpin says while takes a sip of his drink. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Right up to the moment it gives a final shriek and Ruby crashes through it in a burst of feathers as she plummets downward. Ruby. Birdie, no. Ruby fires off a few rounds from crescent rows to slow her down, then turns the weapon into its scythe form to catch the branch of a tree in her blade and fall downward at a slower pace. Weiss, armed with her weapon, summons a few white snowflakes circle under her and leaps off of them to the forest below. Bren descends and spins in the air, eventually using weapon's blades to spiral around the trunk of a large tree and hit the ground, brushing off his clothes before looking up to see. Woohoo. Yeah. Alley-oop. Yang says while soaring right over the treetops, is using her gauntlets and its fiery force to push her through the air further and further north, spinning and laughing with each blast, even when she crashes through the leaves of a tree and leaps off 2 trunks to tumble to the ground. Nailed it. Yang says as she runs off. Her weapon in sword form and armed with a shield, crashes through several trees and rolls on a branch, immediately shifting her blade into a rifle and looking through the scope at Jaune as he continues to scream and fall helplessly. Her coolly transforms her weapon again to its spear form, takes a moment to evaluate her throw, and rockets the javelin deep into the forest until a thunk is heard. Thank you. Jaune says in the distance. Her then waves. I'm sorry. Naruto does a similar actions to Yang using his weapons. Sasuke shoots a tree branch with his weapon and uses his semblance to switch himself with the branch. With Ruby. In the middle of the forest, Ruby lands in a crouch, then darts off while talking out loud. Keep calm. Don't lose your head, Ruby. Keep calm. First off I need to find Yang. Relics. Grimm. There's a lot to worry about. But the biggest worry is this whole pair thing. I'm in trouble if my partner isn't Yang. Ruby begins to worry more. Things could turn for the worst, it's not her, and heaven forbid if I run into that girl. I can't let that happen. Ruby slows down more to she is in an area of the forest where it separates into a lower and higher area. Ruby is on the lower area. What if I can't find her? What if someone finds her first? Ruby begins listing alternatives just in case she can't find Yang. Well, there's always Jaune. He's nice. He's funny. I don't think he's very good in a fight, though. She listed her opinion of Jaune. Ooh. What about Blake? Ruby continues. So mysterious, so calm, plus she based last night likes books. Then again, I'm not sure I'd be able to hold a conversation with her. She listed her opinion of Blake. Then there's FK. I actually know her from Signal, though she was more Yang's friend. But she could be good. She lists her opinion of FK. Then there's Naruto. He is nice, a bit secretive, but he seems to know a few things. So he could be good as well. She gives her opinion of Naruto. Ruby shakes her head of daydreams. Okay, who else do I know in this school? There's Yang, Jaune, Blake, FK, Naruto, and… As Ruby lists off names she knows until she hears a sound from the plateau above her. Time seems to slow down as Ruby looks up to see the one person she hoped to avoid, Weiss, as she is looked down to face her as their eyes to meet and a pregnant pause follows. This ends when Weiss turns on her heel and walks the other way. Ruby sweated a bit from nervousness. Close. A close call. Ruby begins to think to herself, believing she lucked out as she talks out loud again. Maybe she didn't spot me. It's pretty dark down here after all. From where she was standing I'd be hidden in a shadow. That must be it. She just didn't see me. That's gotta be it, no doubt. Ruby rationalizes to her favor. Anyhow, gotta find Yang quick, and Ruby begins to say before going silent, remembering the conversation with Yang in the locker room about why she was at Beacon in the first place. With Weiss. Weiss is seen walking through the forest as she begins a certain thought process. Absolutely not. Not in a million years. Weiss Schnee's partner will not that child. Weiss thinks. It can't be. My eyes must have been playing tricks. The trees and bushes only resembled her somehow. Weiss rationalizes. Then she suddenly hears Jaune's voice. Jaune, ah. If it isn't Weiss. Yes. I'm saved. Jaune says happily. Weiss sees Jaune hanging a few feet in the air by something embedded in his hood and the tree behind him. Weiss didn't know because the moment she had Jaune's voice, she made sure to not look at his face and instead look at his feet due to not wanting him as her partner. Jaune just keeps talking. Thank the goddess of fate in her mysterious ways. Jaune says, still happy. I hate to be a bother, but could you get me down? He asks her. I believe this is per his weapon. Jaune begins talking but stops noticing Weiss is walking past him. Huh? Weiss. Hang on, Weiss. Jaune starts to panic as Weiss gets farther away. Don't go, Weiss. Weiss continues trudging through the forest, ignoring Jaune's pleas for help until she can't hear him anymore. I am a Schnee. My partner must be the perfect specimen. Weiss thinks, clearly irritated by these turn of events as she feels nothing has gone her way so far. Suddenly a shadow appears over her and she hears a deep growl. She jumps forward to avoid attack from the being behind her. She turns around, a large pitch-black jagged wolf-like creature that was twice the size of a human. It has a bone mask with red markings and has bone spikes protruding from their arms, back, and knees. Their hands and feet are also tipped with long, sharp white claws. This was a Grimm called a Beowulf. Grimm, Weiss says as she brandishes her rapier with her left hand to the Grimm in front of her. My what perfect timing. You've caught me in a terrible mood. She then gets into an position to dart forward to her target. Here I come. As she brings her momentum forward she gets blindsided by another Beowulf that appears behind her. Another one. I'm done for, Weiss thinks, unable to change direction. It seems that Weiss will meet her end here. When suddenly rose petals suddenly appear and Ruby shows up out of nowhere. Ruby swings her scythe to slash the Beowulf behind Weiss diagonally from the arm down, while Weiss gives the Beowulf in front of her several dust-infused stabs, blasting holes in the Grimm. After both Grimm disappear into nothing, Weiss and Ruby stay silent with each other for a bit until Weiss breaks the silence. You. Yeah, me. Ruby begins to say. I really didn't want to partner up with you. Ruby says to Weiss, who flinches in surprise realizing she got caught. Then Ruby continues talking. Which is why I pretended we didn't lock eyes earlier. But that won't fly here. If I start lying to myself now, then no matter how hard I work, I'll never be the huntress of my dreams. Ruby tells Weiss. Which means Ruby begins to say nervously until she is interrupted by growls and howls as a pack of beowulfs appear in front of the two girls. There's still so many, Ruby says. Prepare yourself now. Weiss begins to say, moving to the right of Ruby, who looks in her direction. Needless to say, I can't have you slowing me down. Ruby just smirks at this. Stop stealing my lines, princess. Ruby tells Weiss. But Naruto. Some time after Naruto lands, he walks through the forest trying to get the ruins and finding Sasuke. Though thanks to what his old teacher Kakashi did with his and Sasuke's scrolls, they are able to track each other, so that's half of the issue gone. Man, I really need to thanks to Kakashi-sensei for this. Now I know where Sasuke is, though he is still kind of far away, so I still need to move forward. Naruto says as he keeps moving. Naruto suddenly stops hearing someone. "Sorry, Sasuke. Seems like I need to take a detour," Naruto says out loud as he runs to the new location with his gauntlet still active. After a few minutes he gets there to see 4 students including the armored asshole that he almost got into a fight with yesterday all unconscious. Naruto take a moment to check their pulses. They're still alive, but what the heck happened here? This doesn't seem like a Grimm was involved. Naruto looks around to see that the area of the forest has relatively little damage and decides to put the 4 students on a tree. "Alright, now that's over with, let's see if I can find out what happened." Naruto says that he is moving around the area away from the other students. But whether Naruto knows it or not, he is being watched. After a few more minutes of walking, Naruto stops to see a black spot on the ground and crouches down to get a better look at. Wait, this smell is suddenly Naruto's fox ears twitch. Hearing something approach, he quickly turns around and gets into a punching position against a lion-like creature that was surprisingly not a Grimm. It was a white creature with black detailed around its body. In fact, it looked like one of those Tama lion drawing he saw when he went to Mistral. Naruto quickly punches the creature with enough force to send it flying into a tree. As it made contact with the tree, it exploded into black goo on the tree. "That thing was made out of ink," Naruto says in surprise as he recognized the smell. "If they are made out of ink, that means someone must be controlling them," Naruto says aloud, realizing that someone was attacking him intentionally. Suddenly 3 more of those ink lion creatures showed up and attacked him. Naruto dodges the first ink lion and kicks it really hard to a tree and it explodes again. Since these aren't Grimm, Naruto is conserving his dust, but this situation is annoying him as he keeps dodging the remaining 2. "This is getting me nowhere. I have to find the caster," Naruto thinks as he suddenly gets a smirk. "Unfortunately for that poor bastard, I know something about their semblance," Naruto thinks as he into a different direction with the ink lions following him. Naruto remembers that he saw Sasuke's brother Itachi and Weiss's sister Winter fight. During that fight, Winter could summon Grimm she defeated in combat as her allies. However, in that fight Naruto noticed that Winter couldn't summon all the different Grimm she defeated. There was a limit to the bigger Grimm, and the summoned Grimm can't stay too far away from Winter. If this ink semblance was anything like summoning, then that means there is a limit on how many the mystery person can make at a time, and they should still be close to the area. In addition, since Naruto was a faunus, his senses are enhanced so he could easily track others through their scent and hear any sudden changes around him. This person will not escape him. Suddenly Naruto hears a change in the trees and looks up. "So up there," Naruto says as he clicks a button on his glove and out of his gauntlet came a dagger. The dagger has a red and black hilt with a white stripe, extending into an edged zigzag blade that's primarily black with white designs and outlined in his central bright yellow, revolving from a gray bolt at the base to let it flip out to its full length. Naruto jumps up to attack the mystery person. Clack. Naruto and the new person clashed weapons, in doing so made eye contact and got out of the tree onto the forest floor. The new person is a male who looks to be 17 years old and is about 5 feet 8 inches. He has short, straight black hair and dark eyes, which contrast with his translucent-looking pale skin. He is carrying a small backpack. He wears a short black and gray jacket with red straps. His jacket has a long right and short left sleeves. The rest of his outfit consisted of a high-collared midriff shirt, black pants, boots and gloves with his index and thumb fingers exposed. Also, to counter Naruto's dagger, the new guy has a tipless tent with a trigger function on the hilt, implying it has a mid-range to long-range gun capabilities. They are currently in weapon clash, however, due to the claw-like shape of his dagger, Naruto has the control advantage. "Who the heck are you?" Naruto asks the dark-eyed individual who closed his eyes and had a creepy fake smile on his face. "You're not half bad," the dark-eyed male said to Naruto as he jumps backwards, sheathing his ten. "Seem like I finally found a capable individual." Noticing that the other person sheathed his weapon, Naruto folds his dagger and puts it in his gauntlet. "Finally?" Naruto questions. "So you're telling me you attacked those other people to test them?" "Yes," says the dark-eyed boy says. "You certainly have an interesting selection process," Naruto comments. "Also, what is your name?" "You can call me Sai," the now identified Sai says. "As for my selection process, as you call it, I just didn't want to work with anyone who was weaker than my drawings," Sai says as the 2 remaining ink lions appear by his side. "I guess you are the blunt type, huh?" Naruto comments. "Anyway, my name is Naruto and I guess we're partners, Sai." Naruto introduces himself. "I believe so," Sai says. "Now comes the issue with teammates. How do we find capable ones in this forest?" "Actually, I know this guy, my friend Sasuke," Naruto says as pulls out his scroll. "I have been tracking his scroll using my scroll." Sai raised an eyebrow on this. "You put a tracker in your friend's scroll?" Sai asked. "More like my old teacher made us do it. But I'm sure glad he did now," Naruto says. "Though he is still kinda far away. I wish that I could just teleport over there." Sai then give another fake smile as he talks. Interesting you should mention that. Sai begins to say as he looks at the ink lions. Then the two lions join together and form a new shape in the form of a big ink hawk. I believe that this should be big enough for 4 people considering the chances that your friend might have found a partner. Naruto was surprised to see that happen, but it works for him. That is a very useful semblance. Naruto says. Let's get going. Indeed. Sai says as they both get on the ink hawk and fly toward Sasuke's location. End of chapter. Emerald Forest. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. In the woods of the Emerald Forest we see Weiss and Ruby run after finishing their fight with a pack of beetles. Why are they running? They both fought well against Grimm, however during the fight Ruby accidentally got in Weiss's line of fire and that caused a forest fire. Ruby and Weiss stop a safe ways from the smoke and flames. Weiss leans over and pants as Ruby looks behind her. What was that? That should have been easy. Ruby exclaims to her partner. I told you not to get in my way. Weiss yells back. Ruby? Huh. Ruby says. You're totally stealing my line again. Take a look back there, you caused a brush fire. The brush fire that you caused by throwing off my aim. Weiss counters. Who goes by Snow Angel and then uses flame attacks? Ruby yells. Jaune came up with that nickname. Weiss yells back. I simply use all kinds of dust to create my perfect all-powerful fighting style. Perfect? Ruby says disbelievingly while pointing at Weiss. More like Jack of all trades, master of zilch. What? Weiss says clearly offended by Ruby's comment. Weiss is silently seething. I've had enough, we'll part ways from here. Weiss says. Ruby doesn't understand what Weiss is thinking. But what about Ruby says before she is interrupted by Weiss. Just because we are partners doesn't mean we have to act in concert. Weiss clarifies. Besides, sticking together would be highly inefficient. Or don't you agree? Ruby gets a bit nervous. Weiss's quiet anger until she speaks up. But we should stick together anyway to navigate the forest. Weiss thinks about this and sighs. Fine, but don't slow me down. Weiss begins to walk off on her partner yet again. Ruby, with an exhausted sigh, follows her partner. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Beacon Cliff. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. With Ozpin and Glinda. Now at the Beacon Cliff we see Professor Ozpin watching the students on his scroll at the Beacon Cliff overlooking the Emerald Forest when Glinda walks up behind him, holding her own tablet. More pairs have been formed, sir. Glinda says to Ozpin. Glinda taps the screen to show the partners. Yang Xiaolong and Blake Belladonna. Polar opposites, but they're doing well. Nora Valkyrie and Lyran. Poor boy, I can't possibly imagine those two getting along. She changes video to Naruto and Sai fighting briefly. What that Sai character did was completely uncalled for. Glinda begins saying. Attacking other students to test their worth as a partner in a Grimm-infested forest is barbaric. And Naruto Uzumaki doesn't seem too bothered by this either. That is a bit concerning. Ozpin admits not found of potential students future hunters attacking one another in a dangerous area. But it was the way Sai did it that made him wary. Sai hid in the trees and used his ink semblance to attack the others. This was more of an assassin's tactics. The fact that Naruto didn't seem too fazed by it and the way he was able to track Sai down so quickly made it more unsettling. Where did these two train beforehand to get these skills? Ozpin wonders. Glinda then changes the video to Purah and Jaune trekking through the woods. Poor Purah Jaune Arc is leading her utterly astray. Glinda says. Is all Ozpin says. I don't care what his transcripts say. That Jaune fellow is not ready for this level of combat. Glinda begins says as she deactivates her tablet, walking back a little. I guess we'll find out soon enough. She says turning back to Ozpin. Speaking of which, what did you use as relics this year? Glinda asks getting silence as her response. Professor Ozpin. Ozpin doesn't answer, watching his tablet with a contemplating interest as it shows the footage of Ruby Rose sitting in the grass and picking stray leaves while her partner Weiss Schnee walks in random directions. Glinda sees this. That concerned are you about our little grade skipper? Glinda asks. Well is all Ozpin says. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Emerald Forest. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. With Ruby and Weiss. Ruby and Weiss took a small break from walking due to being not knowing which direction to go. During this time Ruby looks up in the feeling a strange sensation with the wind. I'm positive this time. It's this way. Weiss tells Ruby. "Do you mind hurrying, little Miss Riding Hood? My name is Ruby," she tells Weiss as they start moving again with Ruby behind Weiss. After walking for a few minutes Ruby talks. "You have no sense of direction, Weiss. We're nowhere near it. Don't be ridiculous. All you can do is follow me. I know where to go," Weiss tells Ruby. "I'm not much of a follower," Ruby says. "I'm not sure about that," Weiss says. "Last night you said you wanted to be like a storybook hero, right?" Weiss asks. "Yes, oh?" Ruby questions. "Ridiculous," Weiss begins to say as she turns to face Ruby. "I came here to learn, to grow stronger. I strive for perfection. Unlike you, I'm not here for fun and games," Weiss says, insulting Ruby's ideals. "If all you want is to be part of the stories, give up and go home. Your mother's waiting to read one to you." Ruby gets absolutely shocked from Weiss's words as Ruby's hair covers her eyes. "You don't know anything," Ruby says quietly. "You're a little girl fascinated by fairy tales, am I wrong?" Weiss asks. Ruby doesn't deny this, but that doesn't Weiss is totally correct. "You think you know everything, huh?" Ruby begins saying to Weiss, who starts to listen. "I lost someone important to me. That's when I realized reality doesn't always end happily like in the stories. No one's going to show up in the nick of time. No one's going to save you. So instead of being sad and waiting for help to arrive, I decided I would be the hero. And I will. I'll turn tragedies into happy endings. That's why I'm here," Ruby says with determination, looking up at Weiss. Suddenly Weiss and Ruby feel a strong gust of wind blow by them as they notice a pair of gigantic black wings appear in the distance behind Ruby, then a new Grimm attack them. This one is more bird-like. It has a white bone-like mask overlaying the upper front of its head, extend from the head to neck, and has small bones armor with red markings on it. The headpiece also includes a dorsal spine or fin, and it also has 8 glowing red eyes, 4 on each side of its head. It has 2 long clawed fingers extending forwards from the outermost wing joint. Its beak points forward, their crest becomes shorter and pointed upward, and their bone-like mask now has feathers sticking out. This Grimm is a giant nevermore. This isn't good, Weiss begins to think. How do we retreat from a Grimm like this? She tries to weigh in her options on what to do next when Ruby charges at the giant nevermore. No. She's so reckless. Weiss thinks in shock. Ruby transforms Crescent Rose into a rifle mode where it takes the form of a medium-length bolt-action rifle and begins shooting the Grimm in the mouth and a few times on the stomach. The Grimm screeches in pain. As this happens, Ruby grabs onto the Grimm. "Gotcha," Ruby says as the Nevermore begins to flap its wings. What in the world is she doing? Weiss thinks, not believing what she is seeing. Ruby extends her hand to Weiss. "Weiss. Take my hand," Ruby tells Weiss. Weiss, still in shock, takes Ruby's hand without thinking. Huh? Weiss questions herself. Weiss screams in panic. "Are you trying to take me down with you?" Weiss questions Ruby's idea. Ruby just looks innocent the entire time. "It'll be faster flying instead of walking in circles," Ruby says. "I was a fool to follow you," Weiss says as both she and Ruby fly off into the distance. But Sasuke. In another area of the woods of the Emerald Forest, we see Sasuke walking around looking at his scroll, seeing Naruto still far away from him. Irritated by the situation he is in, he could only blame Ozpin. Eye contact. Is Ozpin mental? Sasuke begins complaining out loud. "I get that working with a variety of people is important and that things don't always goes as planned. But partners should complement each other, not be decided on a dice roll." Sasuke then remembers how his old team in Vacuo with Naruto 5 to 6 years ago was great. They had Kakashi, who was the huntsman that guided them, Sakura was the team's medic who always remembered the mission objective and was the long-range specialist. Himself, who was the main strategist and mid to close range specialist, and Naruto was the team's tank and close range specialist who had a talent for improvising if things got out of hand. While they had moments when they clashed, at times they had skillsets that complemented each other very well. That's why he is so annoyed with Ozpin's selection process, as there's no guarantee that anyone will work well together, either in personality or abilities. "I need to find Naruto quickly," Sasuke says as he jumps to a tree to avoid a strike from a large and long Grimm. This Grimm, like most others, is black in color, though it does contain a few speckles of white on its underbelly, as well as some isolated areas along its body. It has large blood-red eyes and a white bony covering with red markings on the top of its head, sports many fangs in its jaws, with a long black forked tongue. "Wait a second, this Grimm," as Sasuke says, realizing what he is up against, quickly uses his semblance to switch himself with a rock behind a tree to avoid being bitten by another Grimm. Sasuke from his hiding spot see the rock crushed by the Grimm's jaws. This new Grimm had an appearance similar to the previous one, except it's uncharacteristically white in color and the bony coverings are gray with red markings. But if one were to look closely you could see that both the black and white Grimm were actually joined in the middle. This Grimm was a king Tajitu. It easily dwarfs the size of people and was dangerous to the inexperienced and unprepared, as it could catch people off guard due it essentially being two Grimm in one. There were plenty of them in Vacuo. It's recommended that 2 or more hunters would be best to deal with this Grimm. Under normal circumstances he would have done things quickly, but this King Tajitu was surveying the area for any sudden actions. Damn it, this must be an older Grimm. Sasuke thinks, knowing that the actions he needs to take will take a few moments he doesn't have time to afford yet. Bang bang. Peace. Sasuke hears the Grimm being attacked and looks to see something interesting. You have got to be kidding me. Sasuke says as he sees FK jumping from head to head as the Grimm crashes into many trees, including the tree Sasuke was behind. But the interesting part was how she was avoiding them. It was as if she could manipulate how the Grimm attacked her and is now leading it into a wall of rock. How is she doing that? Does it have something to her semblance? Sasuke thinks to himself. Wow, this is much fun. FK says with a smile, as the next attack she jumps out of the way to allow the Grimm's white head to get stuck in a wall. As a result the black head can no longer reach her due to her being out of striking distance. That should buy me some time. Now what to do next? FK asks herself out loud. She turns around to see a tree fall down to reveal Sasuke from behind it and as a result made eye contact. Hey Duckbit, glad to see you here. FK says glad to meet one of her new friends. Damn it FK, my name is Sasuke. Use it. Sasuke begins to tell her. Anyway, that was an impressive thing you did with the King Tajitu. Sasuke admits. Thanks. FK say. Want to know how I did it? Maybe later, for now we go. Sasuke says as he and FK move to a new location outside of the Grimm site. So we're partners now Duckbit? FK asks. Sasuke just sighs realizing FK is a stubborn type. I guess we are. Sasuke says as he takes out his scroll too and starts moving towards Naruto's signal, which keeps moving for some reason. Damn it. Stay still stupid. Where the hell are you going? Sasuke says wondering why his friend keeps moving to a new location. Why do you have your scroll? I thought we weren't allowed to have them on us. FK asks Sasuke. Ozpin and Glinda never told us we couldn't use our scrolls. Sasuke begins to say. Besides, only an idiot would listen to a dumb order like us considering how useful scrolls are in the field. Oh. FK says. Though judging by your reaction I believe that everyone except me and Naruto followed those instructions. Sasuke says. So what are you doing with the scroll? FK asks in a quieter tone. Sasuke raises an eyebrow or change in tone. I'm using this to track down Naruto. At least this way we should still be a team if Ozpin isn't completely insane. Sasuke says hoping that there is some structure in Ozpin's team selection process. I see. FK begins to say. Hey Sasuke, is Naruto a good person? FK asks. Sasuke is a little surprised to hear FK use his name, so it might be more serious in nature. Why do you ask? Is there something about Naruto that worries you? Sasuke asks. I'm not sure. FK admits. But when we touched hand I felt something. I have no idea what is, but it was different. I never felt anything like that before. Sasuke, while having a calm look on his face, has a different train of thought. Is it possible that this girl can sense Naruto's problem? Sasuke thinks. Well, in the past Naruto and I have clashed multiple times. But I can tell you that Naruto is as loyal as they come and he is a good friend. He says, trying to FK at ease. It seems to have worked, as she is smiling again. Thanks Duckbit, I needed to hear that. FK said. Sasuke's eye twitches at the nickname. Damn it, what did I say about my name? Sasuke says. Beep beep. Sasuke's scroll rings, showing Naruto approaching his location very quickly. What the heck, Naruto can't travel that long of a distance this quickly. Sasuke says as suddenly a gust of wind hits him and FK. They look up to see what looks like a giant hawk. What the? Sasuke begins to say before a familiar voice interrupts him. But Naruto. Hey Sasuke, do you and FK need a lift? Naruto asks his friend. What is that Naruto? Sasuke asks, not knowing what to make of the non-Grimm bird. Naruto moves out of the way a bit to show Sai to Sasuke. Sasuke, this is my partner Sai, he made this ink hawk. Hi there. Sai says to Sasuke and FK. Wow, that's awesome. FK says with enthusiasm. Hey Duckbit, hurry up. FK says as she gets on the hawk. Shut up FK. Sasuke says as he gets on as well. Then the group began to take flight. He then notices Naruto looking at him. What? So FK is your partner, huh? Naruto says. Shut up Naruto. I will throw you off. Sasuke threatens. Jill Sasuke. Naruto says. In all seriousness, how is she? Naruto asks. Personality aside, FK is a decent fighter and from what I have seen a handy semblance. Sasuke tells Naruto however. What is it Sasuke? Naruto asks. I think you should talk to FK in private when you have a chance. I think she might be able to sense your problem. Sasuke tells Naruto. Naruto is surprised to hear this, but at the same time he almost expected this. Okay, I will talk to her after the exam. Naruto says seriously. I believe we are approaching our destination. Sai tells the others as they approach the ruins to obtain the relic. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Emerald Forest. Temple Ruins. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Arriving at the temple ruins, Naruto's group get a look around as they land. The ruins is a circular stone temple, broken and decrepit under a large tree. There are platforms around its inside, holding several black and gold objects. Chess pieces. Sasuke begins to say. The relics are chess pieces. What is even the point of that? Sasuke wonders. Hey, Sasuke, heads up. Naruto says as he throws something at Sasuke. Sasuke catches it and sees it's a black king piece. Explain now, Naruto. Sasuke demands. Naruto shows Sasuke the other black king chess piece. If my hunch is right, teams will be decided by the matching pieces and colors. Naruto tells Sasuke. That does seem like a logical conclusion. Sai says on Naruto's reasoning for the teams. Okay, that makes sense. Sasuke says, hoping that this logic is correct. So what now? FK asks as two people arrive. They are Yang and Blake. Hey, FK. Yang yells. Hi, Yang. FK yells back. We will talk a bit later. Got to grab a relic. Yang says as she and the black-haired girl chose the gold knight piece. This is kinda anticlimactic. Yang admits. Yeah. Blake says. Suddenly several crashing noises are heard in the forest ahead of them, and a bear-like Grimm called an Ursa comes out, claws swiping, just as a pink blast of energy hits it in the back and it crashes to the ground, depositing its rider. Eehaw. Nora says as she rolls off of the creature's back. She then gets up and groans, saddened by this awe it's broken. Nora says before dashes onto its neck and observes the carcass as Ren comes up behind her as the Grimm starts to disappear. Ren starts panting after all the running. Nora. Please don't ever do that again. Ren says as he looks up again and notices his partner Nora has run off again and looks around frantically. Now in the ruins, Nora is staring at a golden rook relic in fascination. Ooh, Nora says as she grabs it and starts dancing and singing with the chess piece. I'm queen of the castle. I'm queen of the castle. Nora. Ren calls out to his partner before she gets too crazy. Nora stops dancing with the rook on her head, then salutes, dropping the relic into her hand. Coming, Ren. Nora says as she skips off to her friend. Did that girl just ride in on an Ursa? Blake and Sai said out loud. Godding damn it. Sasuke curses his luck. She the other girl that annoyed you? Naruto asks Sasuke, almost pitying him. Just shut please. Sasuke tells Naruto, trying to calm down. Suddenly Naruto's fox ears and Blake's bow twitch as they look up in the sky to see Ruby and Weiss falling downwards. This is followed by a faint but growing louder scream from Ruby. Heads oop, Ruby screams. End of chapter. Emerald Forest. Temple Ruins. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Heads oop. Ruby screams as she and Weiss are falling from the sky above the temple ruins, and from what Naruto can tell, Jaune and Purah are in a collision course with them. Sai, Hawk now. Naruto says as he gets on Sai's ink hawk. Sai gets the message and the hawk takes flight to quickly intercept them. Naruto caught Ruby and Weiss by their hips, Ruby on his right and Weiss on his left. The hawk caught Jaune and Purah in its claws. What the heck now? Jaune says as the hawk catches him and Purah prepares to attack. Don't attack. Naruto yells. It's made of ink and will pop if you attack it. So wait till we land. Naruto tells Purah. Naruto. Ruby says, a bit embarrassed by this position. Can you let me down please? Ruby asks her new friend. Poor girl, she's not used to this kind of thing. Naruto thinks. Sure. Naruto says as loosens his grip on her waist to let her down. You didn't have to do this. Weiss begins to tell Naruto. I could have handled it. I know you could. Naruto begins to tell Weiss. I saw you use your glyphs to move in the air better. It was a cool trick. Weiss is a little surprised he saw that. Wait. If you saw that then you knew you didn't have to save me. So why? Naruto just raises an eyebrow and smirks a bit. Then why didn't you? Naruto asks. To me it looked like you were caught up in the moment of falling. Weiss blushes a bit in embarrassment knowing that he was right. Shut up. Weiss says defensively. How about you let me down now? Weiss tells Naruto. Naruto then gets a mischievous look in his eyes. Oh, I don't know, princess. Naruto says, reminiscing. This just reminds of the time you tried to climb that tree, though back then I also caught your legs too. I probably would have done it again, it was just you. Naruto says, hoping to get a rise out of his old friend. Weiss's face then turns red from embarrassment, anger, or possibly a bit of both as she tries to stab him again as he lets go then. Stay still, you stupid fox. Weiss yells back as Naruto laughs. Never would have guessed Naruto and Weiss knew each other. Ruby thinks. I didn't expect her to have a side like that. As they begin to land, the hawk lets go of Jaune, who looks like he had the soul ripped out of him, and Purah checks on her partner. You okay, Jaune? Purah asks Jaune. She lightly smacks him a couple of times. A light groan was her response. Naruto then jumps down from the hawk and offers his hands to Ruby and Weiss to help them down. Ruby takes his hand and thanks him, while Weiss HMPHS and gets down on her own. Naruto smirks at her, expecting that response, and walks back to Sai as the ink hawk turned into pure black ink and Sai stores the ink in a container-like object. Thanks again, Sai. Naruto says to his new partner. No problem. Sai says with his usual smile. In a Grimm-infested forest and you still mess with Weiss. It's like you want to put yourself in a crisis. Sasuke says to his old friend. Who am I kidding? Even if you don't try, trouble still finds you. Did you just make a joke about my semblance? Naruto asks. Shut up. Sasuke says. That was so cool. FK says to Sai. Can you do more? FK asks. Maybe later. Sai says as he needs a bit of time to recover a bit. Testing the other students and facing a few Grimm before encountering Naruto, then encountering Naruto, and finally all the flying is starting to get to him a bit even if he doesn't show it. While Naruto, Sasuke, Sai and FK are talking, another conversation is taking place. I finally found you, Yang. Ruby says with excitement. Never a dull moment with you, Ruby. Yang says to Ruby. So from the sky this time? Yang comments. Ruby laughs a bit before explaining what happened. You see, we came across a Nevermore in the forest. Bigger than any I've seen before. So it made sense to hitch a ride. Ruby told Yang as Weiss shows up to give her negative opinion. Hitch a ride? Weiss yells at Ruby. We were nearly devoured by that thing. But we were efficient together since we found this place. Ruby comments back. Only by accident. Weiss clarifies. Though if it wasn't for foxy friend Ruby, then you two would have hit the ground. Yang says. Though I should say a few words to him. Yang, please stop. Ruby tells her sister, who doesn't listen as she walks away. So you know him, Ruby? Weiss asks Ruby. Honestly, not really, considering we met yesterday. Ruby admits to Weiss. Though it seems like you have known Naruto longer than I have. We are acquainted, yes. Weiss tells Ruby. Anyway, since we are here, let's grab a relic. They agree and they grab the golden knight piece because Ruby noticed Yang had the same one. While Jaune woke up, grabbed the golden rope piece. Back to Naruto's group. FK was talking to Sai about his ink creatures while Naruto and Sasuke talked about something more serious in nature. So it seems like everyone is here, so what do you think now, Sasuke? Naruto asks his old friend. Well, I think Ruby is a bit reckless, but it worked well enough for now, so I can't complain about her. Sasuke gives his new assessment of Ruby. Yeah, hitching a ride on a Nevermore sounds is certainly a fun time. Naruto says, having personal experience in the matter. Of course you would. Sasuke deadpans. But about Jaune? I know. Naruto begins to say. His aura is up now and he has a lot of it. That means one of two things. Either he decided to show it off, or Naruto begins to say. He recently got access to his aura. Sasuke interrupts Naruto. And judging by what I have seen so far, Jaune is the latter, with Purah being the one to unlock it. I honestly didn't want to think that, but everything seems to lead to that. Naruto says. This means something is going on. Sasuke says to Naruto. Before they can continue, Yang shows up. Hey Whiskers. Yang calls out Naruto and he turns to face her. I haven't been called that in a long time. Naruto says. I take it you're Yang? Naruto asks. Yang raises an eyebrow at this. How do you know my name? Yang asks back. Naruto then points to his fox ears. I hear your name going around. Naruto clarifies. Good to know. Yang says. Well, first off, thanks for helping out Ruby. No problem, glad to help a friend out. Naruto replies. Yang then gets a slightly sharper look in her eyes. Though you holding her waist like that raised some questions. Yang starts questioning. I'm not getting involved in this. Sasuke says as he leaves Naruto to get back to the group. Hey. Naruto yells. Get back here, you asshole. Naruto says, getting no response from Sasuke. I'm waiting, Whiskers. Yang says with deceiving smile. Can we not do this? Naruto asks. The last time I checked I didn't do anything wrong. Just before Yang continued, the whole group started to get together as Jaune started to talk. So we got the relics, do we head back or what? Jaune asks. As the group decided what to do next, enormous Grimm appears after knocking down and uprooting entire trees, coming closer to the group. This Grimm has a jet black exoskeleton underneath several large white bone-like plates upon its back, which are adorned with red markings. It has a golden stinger on its tail and has a pair of large pincers that it uses to defend itself and grab or cut into its prey. It has 10 red eyes. This Grimm is called a Death Stalker. However, it looks too quite old because of the moss or grass growing on its claws and torso. It also has visible scars on its carapace, signifying its advanced age. "Oh no, it's back," Jaune says in panic. "Not if I can help it," Ruby says as she sounds a battle cry and rushes towards the Death Stalker. "Ruby, wait," Yang yells in vain. Ruby, still screaming, fires crescent rows and charges at the oncoming Death Stalker. When the two clashed, Ruby jumps up to slash at the Grimm's back, and to her shock the blade is unable to pierce its armor and pushes her back. Then she notices the stinger coming closer to her. "I'm done for," Ruby says, paralyzed by fear. "Ruby," Yang yells, reaching out in vain. Suddenly a white blur races past Yang and reaches the Grimm. This blur was Weiss and she gets in front of Ruby. Weiss stabs her weapon on the ground as a glyph appears and freezes the Death Stalker. Frozen in an instant, Ruby thinks in amazement. "For all your big talk, you really are just getting in my way," Weiss says as she removes her rapier from the ice and turns towards Ruby. Ruby shifts her gaze away from Weiss, not saying anything. "Stand up," Weiss begins to say as she reaches out to Ruby. "We're partners, aren't we, Ruby?" Ruby's eyes widen at Weiss's proclamation as Yang, Blake, Jaune, and Purah approach. Ruby then takes Weiss's hand to stand up. "Yep," Ruby says as she gives a questioning look to Weiss. "Ruby," Weiss begins to say with a sweat drop. "Care to explain yourself?" "Just making sure you're not an imposter," Ruby says. "Huh?" Weiss doesn't understand what Ruby is saying. Ruby begins explaining herself as Yang and Blake approach from behind. "I mean, Weiss is supposed to be a selfish, arrogant, sharp-tongued ice queen in prissy clothes, right?" "What?" Weiss says in indignation. Ruby continues. "I mean that Weiss saving me. It didn't seem normal, hence my suspicion," Ruby says as Weiss gets angrier. "Heh." Ruby giggles and with a genuine smile says thanks, Weiss. Weiss gets surprised and then blushes in embarrassment. Enough of this nonsense," Weiss says. "Are you actually blushing?" Ruby asks. "Silence," Weiss demands. "With Naruto." Naruto just looks on at this and smiles at them and smiles. Sasuke notices this and comments. "What's got you so happy?" "Well, I think Weiss has really changed," Naruto says. "You think so?" Sasuke asks. "She still seems prideful to me. It's a more subtle thing," Naruto says. "Subtle?" Sasuke asks with a raised eyebrow. "Since when have you been able to understand subtly?" "I may not be the best at it, but I know a few things about it," Naruto says. "Are you sure it's not because you have a axe?" Sasuke begins before Naruto punches Sasuke in the gut. "Oh my friend, you certainly have a wild imagination," Naruto says with an obviously fake smile. "You are so going to get it later, fuzzface," Sasuke says. "Anytime, duckbit, but first let's go to the others and make a plan," Naruto tells Sasuke. "Fine," Sasuke says. FK and Sai just look on at this. "We have some fun friends, don't we?" FK says to Sai. Sai raises an eyebrow. "I think it's too soon to call them friends," Sai begins to say. "But they are quite unusual. That's what makes them fun," FK says. "Fine," Sai says, not knowing what else to say at the moment. "For now let's regroup." "Okay," FK says as they regroup with the others. "With Ruby's group." "What, it's not dead yet?" Jaune asks as the Grimm is still in ice. But since we've all got our relics in hand, shouldn't the test be over?" Jaune also asks, panicked. "The older a Grimm is, the bigger, smarter, and stronger it gets," Purah explains. "Though I hate to admit it, my attack won't hold it for long," Weiss tells them. "Seriously?" Jaune asks. "Don't worry so much, Jaune," Purah says. "Huh?" Jaune questions. "Indeed," Weiss begins to say. "The assignment was to retrieve and bring back a relic. Not to fight Grimm. So basically this is our chance to run away?" Jaune asked. "Probably, yes," Weiss says. "I'm in full agreement," Jaune says as he begins walking away. "Let's get out of here." "Hang on now," Ruby says, getting everyone's attention. "What's the problem, Ruby?" Jaune asks. Ruby stays silent for a moment before giving her opinion. "I just think we should beat that thing right here right now." At Ruby's declaration, Weiss, Jaune, and Purah go silent. Then Jaune gets a terrified look while Weiss give a scary stern look. "Are you kidding?" Weiss yells in shock. "You nearly died a moment ago." True." Ruby admits, a bit scared of Weiss's tone. So clearly this is too much for us. Weiss says. Sure. Ruby agrees, still nervous. Ridiculous. Try and cool your head. Ruby stays silent for a moment before speaking. Yet that's why we can't just walk away. Enough, Weiss begins to say. Hear me out. Ruby interrupts. What if we let that thing live now and it goes on to hurt someone else? Ruby argues. I don't think we could forgive ourselves. Weiss grits her teeth knowing Ruby has a point. Oh looky. Something big is coming. Nora says as a shadow covers the group. It found us. Weiss said as the gigantic avian Grimm was perched on a large plateau-like hill. Isn't it an evermore? It's enormous. FK said in shock, never seeing an evermore that big before. Shatter. Suddenly the ice breaks, showing the Death Stalker getting free from Weiss's ice prison. As if this could get any worse. Weiss said as the Nevermore and Death Stalker block off the group's escape routes. Ugh, fine. Jaune begins to say, looking nervous as he brandishes his sword and Purra her spear. We'll handle the Death Stalker. Jaune says finally as Nora and Ren follow Jaune and Purra against the Death Stalker. At the same time Yang and Blake join up with Ruby and Weiss against the Nevermore. With Naruto's group. Seems like Ruby and Jaune have developed the resolve to fight. Naruto comments. Ruby may have the right idea, but she is a little reckless. Sasuke begins to say. Jaune on the other hand is just trying to be suicidal. Are you saying we should do something? Naruto asks, wondering if it is a good idea to interfere with Ruby and the others. Sasuke was about to reply when suddenly the ground shakes and a King Tajitu appears from the ground. Isn't that the one we fought? FK asks Sasuke. Damn, it must have followed us. Sasuke says. After that trees began to break and get uprooted by a new Grimm appears. This Grimm is more like a sturdy ape. It's covered in black skin, with bone-like plates covering their bodies at certain places like armor. A red pattern or symbol resembling an eye is present on their back, along with pipe-shaped thing on its back. They have well-developed hands with opposable thumbs. They are quite large, at almost twice the height of a human on all fours. It also has a tail. Is that a Berinjal Kongu? Naruto says, gaining a small gleam in his eyes, activates his weapon, and gives his commands. Sasuke and FK take care of the snakes. Sai, we are going to take down this gorilla. Naruto says as he runs over to the ape Grimm. Understood. Sai said as he follows Naruto. Sasuke sighs at his friend's orders again, as this isn't the first time Sasuke had to deal with Naruto's random orders. Though this wasn't a bad plan. You heard him, FK. Let's go. Sasuke says as he takes out his gun blade. Gotta duck it. FK replied as she got her weapon out from her red bag. At first it is inactive, its thick green limbs closed up into a rectangular shape and the ammo clip protruding from the right side. When FK's hand approaches the weapon, it slightly opens to allow her to reach the black grip inside it. Once grasped, the lower half revolves downward on a black arc further inside the weapon and reveals a sharpened blade out of the edge, spiked with 3 triangular points along its length, and a small black barrel emerges from the front of the newly formed rifle. They both charge at the snake Grimm with a multitude of bullets, but they seem to have little effect as the snakes coil together. Then the King Tajitu strikes Sasuke and FK at high speeds with a black head knocking them back. Sasuke then shoots off a tree branch and uses his semblance to switch them with the branch before the white head could bite down on them. Now on higher ground, Sasuke and FK talk about what to do next. What the heck is with that Grimm? I've never seen a King Tajitu act like this. FK comments on this, not familiar with this behavior. It's an older Grimm. So it must have been through quite a few battles with hunters. Sasuke begins to explain to her. By coiling together they can not only increase their defenses, they can also be like a spring for extra speed. So what's next? FK asks. Sasuke sighs knowing what he has to do. Can you hold it off for a few minutes? I can, but what are you thinking? FK asks again. Just do it, I'll explain later. Sasuke tells her in an increased voice. Unfortunately it draws the attention of the Grimm as it slithers toward the tree. Go now. Sasuke yells. Okay. FK says as she charges at the King Tajitu. Sasuke now closes his eyes to focus on getting his mind to a certain mindset. It's times like this I wish I had Naruto's simplicity. Sasuke briefly thinks as he prepares his greatest asset against Grimm. Meanwhile FK focuses on hit and run tactics, with the Grimm enjoying the situation. Alright, time to chop a snake. FK yells as the sharpened blade with 3 triangular points begins to move upward and shift to an axe form. FK charges again at the Grimm and the King Tajitu responds with a lunge with its black head. FK jumps knowing the white head will now appear in front of her, and as the white head lunges FK swings her axe at the Grimm, causing major damages as it hisses in pain. Bang bang. Suddenly the King Tajitu has yellow electricity around it as it gets electrocuted due to lightning dust as Sasuke goes in for the kill with his weapon now in sword form. However, the Grimm used both its heads to attack and at Sasuke's current speed, he wouldn't be able to stop without getting caught. Shit. Sasuke thinks for a moment until the black head of the Grimm changed its trajectory and to Sasuke's surprise bits the white head. Sasuke, not one to lose an advantage, jumps on the area where the black and white halves meet and stabbed his sword through the Grimm scales as it gets electrocuted further. Then Sasuke's eyes start glowing and the electricity that was once yellow was now turning a silver color and became even more powerful. Chidori Nagashi. Sasuke yells as the King Taijutsu hisses in pain and is unable to move as it quickly gets turned into stone. FK widens her eyes, not believing what she is seeing. What the heck? FK asks out loud, not comprehending what she is seeing. As the Grimm finally turns to stone, it dissipates into nothing. FK then walks up to Sasuke, who takes a few deep breaths. What was that, Sasuke? FK asks. Later, right now let's head back to the others. Sasuke says, holding his head like he just got a headache. But Naruto and Sai. While Sasuke was fighting the King Taijutsu, Naruto and Sai were fighting a Berinjal Kongu, which was a powered-up Berinjal. Bang bang crash. Multiple trees collapse as Naruto and the Grimm fight each other, even as Naruto keeps hitting it with his fists and bullets from his shotgun gauntlets. Wow, you can really throw a punch and you have tough armor, but I thrive off fights like this. Naruto says as his eyes-slit pupils gain a more feral look as Naruto shifts to his weapons into a claw mode, which combines his daggers and gauntlets into claws. Naruto now grins. Time for round 2. As Naruto rushes to the Grimm as it also charges. The Grimm punches Naruto into the ground, but at that same moment Naruto slashes the Kongu upwards, making it crash into trees. Sai watches on in the shadow, trying to determine when he should act. Naruto seems to be quite the battle maniac. Sai summarizes, trying to figure out his teammates' intentions. He told me to act at the right moment. Well, that is a good plan. Naruto is not making it easy to find an opening. Naruto quickly gets up, almost looking more energized than before despite him getting damaged. Suddenly powerful blasts of air hit Naruto through a few trees as the Grimm comes back to fight. As it was about to punch Naruto, he dodges the punch and slashes at the Grimm's side, making it screech in pain. Naruto then gets some distance as the Grimm sees him again and they both charge at each other faster than before. In the Grimm's case, the pipes on its back utilizes powerful air blasts that increased its speed. In Naruto's case, the true nature of his semblance crisis increases his physical abilities and instinctual senses the more damage he takes as the fight goes on. Now as the Grimm was getting closer to punching distance, Naruto's senses are in overdrive and the Grimm's punch looked incredibly slow to him. So all Naruto did was simply duck just a little bit, making the Grimm's punch graze his hair a bit. Due to this maneuver, Naruto now has a great opportunity to capitalize on, and Naruto uses it to slash off the Grimm's right arm as he jumps upwards and flips a few feet behind the Grimm while cutting off the air pipes in the process. The Grimm, now armless, screeches in pain, then Sai chooses to act, now quickly paints pictures of snakes and those snakes bind the Grimm in place, struggling to get free. Sai then sees Naruto create a giant ball of spiraling golden aura in his hand. Naruto then charges at the Grimm as his eyes glow as the ball changed color from gold to silver. Udamura Sengen. Naruto shouts as he hits the Berinjal Kongu head on that blasted the Grimm and destroyed the forest floor. Sai almost couldn't see what was happening, but he caught a glimpse of the Grimm being turned to stone before dissipating into nothing. What was that power? Did he really do all this damage to the forest and that Grimm with just his aura alone? Sai thinks, trying to assess his teammate as he walks toward Naruto. Now that was fun. Naruto says as he calms down and sees Sai. Nice work, Sai, I knew I could count on you. You're by far the most reckless person I have ever met. Sai tells Naruto. Naruto just laughs it off. Yeah, I get told that sometimes. Naruto says as he sees Sasuke and FK show up. You two finally made it. Though you missed my epic fist fight. FK eyes widen at that. Are you really alright? She asks. I wouldn't worry about him too much. Sasuke begins to tell them. The idiot here is basically an aura tank. So he's basically the ultimate human, or in this case Franus shield. Don't be an ass, Sasuke. Naruto says as the group walks back, and after a few minutes they see Ruby go up a cliff to decapitate the Nevermore. Wow, that was awesome. Naruto says. Ruby got coolest kill, lucky. FK says. So she is better than I thought. Sasuke says while Sai just stays silent. Let's head back, everyone. Naruto says as they regroup with everyone else and head back to Beacon. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Beacon Amphitheater. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Russell Thrush. Carden, Winchester. Dove Bronzewing. Skylark. Ozpin begins to say as the screen of the auditorium shows each of their profiles as the boys are lined up. The four of you retrieved the black bishop pieces. From this day forward, you will work together as Team CRDL, led by Carton Winchester. Rate that guy. Naruto says out loud. You have a problem with him? FK asks. The guy is an asshole. Can't even take an apology without getting into a fight. Naruto tells her. I honestly thought they were going to die considering how weak they are. Sai says. FK raises an eyebrow. Dude, that's dark. FK says as Ozpin continues with the teams. Jaune Arc, Lai Ren, Puranikos, Nora Valkyrie. The four of you retrieved the white rook pieces. From this day forward, you will work together as Team JNPR. Led by Jaune Arc. Ozpin announces. L led by Jaune questions. Congratulations, young man. Ozpin tells Jaune as a grinning Pura offers a friendly shoulder bump to Jaune, but her fine leader is knocked over and falls to his butt in front of the laughing audience. Sasuke's eyes widen a bit at that announcement. What the hell is Ozpin smoking, does he want students to die? Sasuke asks. This does seem very inefficient. Sai comments. I think it makes sense. Naruto says. Why? Sasuke and Sai ask. I will tell you later, but I think I can guess who the leaders of the next teams are. Naruto says as Ozpin continues. Lake Belladonna, Ruby Rose, Weiss Shni, Yang Xiaolong. The four of you retrieved the white knight pieces. From this day forward, you will work together as Team rwby. Led by Ruby Rose. Ozpin tells them. Ruby is obviously in shock as Yang goes over to hug her sister. I'm so proud of you. Yang says to her sister. Weiss looks to her right surprised, but if look closely Weiss has a smirk on her face. Didn't see that coming. FK says. Knew it. Naruto says knowing that was going to happen. What he didn't expect was the look on Weiss's face. Good for you Weiss. Naruto thinks happy seeing her smirk at Ruby. Sasuke begins to say as Ozpin talks again. And the final team. Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke-cha. FK. Sai. The four of you retrieved the Black King pieces. From this day forward, you will work together as Team NFSS. Led by Naruto Uzumaki. Ozpin tells them as the audience gives the last round of applause. It looks like things are shaping up to be an interesting year. Ozpin says amid the cheers. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX NFSS, RWBY, and JNPR walking to their dorms. It's odd that we are all still together like this. FK says with her hand behind her head. It is interesting. Puri agrees. It's cool that we are all neighbors now. Naruto says because they were all given rooms next to each other, JNPR's dorm is across from RWBY's dorm, and NFSS dorm was next to JNPR's. I hope we all can hang out later on. Sounds fun, Whiskers. Yang says. Can't you all be serious about this? Y says. We should focus on our studies so we can become hunters. Naruto raises an eyebrow at Weiss's comment. Studies? What are you talking about, Weiss? Naruto says in a slightly uncharacteristically nervous voice. Sasuke actually chuckles at Naruto's panic. Because stupid, this is still a school. Sasuke begins to say. That means we are expected to do papers and other assignments. Naruto starts sweating a bit. Are you kidding me? Naruto yells. What were you expecting? Weiss asks, though on the inside she is smirking at Naruto's panic. I guess he thought it was all about fighting. Sai comments. What else was I supposed to think? Our parents are supposed to teach us basic stuff so we could focus on actual combat. Naruto tells them. Aw man, this is going to suck. Naruto says, knowing that he isn't the best at academics. Looks like we are back at our rooms. Blake said. Right. So I guess we'll see you tomorrow. Ruby says as all the teams go into their respective dorms. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX walls and 4 beds with red covers. This room looks nice. FK says. This seems sufficient. Sai says. I guess it will work. Sasuke says. Alright everyone, let's get unpacked. Naruto says as they unpack their personal belongings to upgrade the room, as they each took one corner of the room for themselves. Sasuke unpacks some books except one where he decides to keep a secret. Sai had some drawings of scenery placed on the walls, FK places up a green curtain on the window, and Naruto places his weapon and other combat gear under the bed. Naruto and FK were closest to the window, while Sasuke and Sai were closest to the door. Definitely an improvement. FK says she then sees that the sky is now black, showing remnants scattering crescent moon. Wow, time sure flies. Well, time for bed. Hold on FK, can I talk to you in private? Naruto asks her. FK raises an eyebrow and says sure as Naruto leads her to the bathroom. Once inside, Naruto begins the conversation. So how do you like the team so far FK? The team is great and I can't wait to know you guys better. FK says. Though you leading me into the bathroom alone is a bit sooner than I expected. Naruto laughs at that. Don't worry it, as for getting to know us all better it will happen with time. Now Naruto's voice gets a bit more serious. However, there is something I have to absolutely know about you first. FK gets a bit surprised at Naruto's change of tone, but goes along with it. So what do you want to know? Do you remember when we first meet and we both got a sort of shock? Naruto asks. Yeah. FK says. Why do you ask? She isn't sure what he wants to know. If I am correct then we share a certain issue that affects our lives. Naruto says cryptically. For the first time in a long time FK is actually in a nervous sweat with her eyes darting back and forth. I'm not sure what you mean. FK says unconvincingly, trying to keep something hidden. Okay, I will be blunt, my number is 9. Naruto says, no longer avoiding the issue. What is your number? FK eyes widen realizing he is serious. 7. My number is 7. FK admits. You really have the same problem as me. Yeah, and it sucks. Naruto says. But don't worry, you aren't alone on this. Does Sasuke know about it? FK asks nervously. Sasuke has known about my problem for years now. He doesn't know about you yet, but he is beginning to suspect something. It would be best for you to tell him soon, especially since you are partners. Naruto tells her. Okay. But isn't dangerous for the two of us two in the same place? FK asks. I guess it depends. You aren't the first number I met after all. Naruto tells her. Who else did you meet? FK asks, being very surprised about all of this. I have met number 1 in the past, and well, our first meeting didn't go great, but he is pretty cool now. Naruto tells FK. I see. I haven't met anyone else aside from you, and I haven't told anyone my secret. Naruto just raises an eyebrow. You seem friendly enough with Ruby and Yang though. Do they know? No, I haven't told them yet. I was honestly hoping to take this secret to my grave. FK admits. I want friends, but I know this will make things difficult. FK says, putting her hand on her stomach. I know, but a secret like that can't be hidden in the dark forever, and you know it. But the friends that accept you and your burden will be the ones you want to keep. Naruto tells her. FK, for the first time since the conversation got serious, finally felt relaxed. You're right. Thanks Naruto. FK tells him. It's no problem, I wouldn't be a good friend or leader if I left you hanging like that. Naruto tells her. True. FK says as she yawns. I don't know about you, but I'm tired. Let's go to sleep. Sounds good to me. Naruto says as they both exit the bathroom, and now all the members of Team NFSS go to sleep, not knowing what the future holds. End of chapter. NFSS, dorm room. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. From the new room of Team NFSS, we see Naruto sleeping in his bed. Naruto. Hey Naruto, wake up. FK says while poking Naruto on the cheek, trying to wake him up. Why would you wake up? Naruto has always been a heavy sleeper. Sasuke informs FK. Waking him up requires a bit more effort than that. What would you do? Sai asks. Just a little prank. Sasuke says, grabbing an air horn as he pressed on it. Ahuga. AHHH. Naruto screams as he falls out of bed with a thud. That's how you wake the idiot up. Sasuke says with a smirk. Naruto yells at Sasuke and grabs his shirt. What the hell was that for? You hit me with a giant hand, remember? Sasuke says. You couldn't think of any other way to wake me up? Naruto asks, not denying Sasuke's statement. This way was funnier. Sasuke says. This off, you know I have more sensitive hearing. Naruto says, letting go of the shirt. So what now? I guess we should get dressed. Sai says. Okay. FK says, beginning to unbutton her shirt. Stop. Sasuke yells to FK while blushing. What? I'm getting dressed. FK says in confusion. FK, just go change in the bathroom. Sasuke says, putting a hand on his face. Fine. She says, going into the bathroom to change. What is wrong with her? Sasuke says, putting his hand down and getting dressed with Naruto and Sai. I don't see an issue. Sai says. It seems she is comfortable around us. Naruto says. Whatever. Sasuke says, getting the feeling that this won't be last time something like this happens. Anyway Sasuke, FK might want to talk to you later. Naruto informs Sasuke. About what? Sasuke asks his friend. You will have to find out. Naruto says as Sasuke just sighs. All the boys are now in the Beacon Academy uniforms. Sasuke and Sai are now wearing black suits lined with gold, accompanied by a blue vest, a white shirt with a red tie, and black pants. Naruto decides to ditch the black suit and blue vest parts of the outfit. Aren't you missing a few clothes? Sasuke asks. The rest of this uniform feels stuffy to me. Naruto asks. Why do you say that? Sai asks, not understanding. I'm from Vacuo. Naruto informs Sai. It's not exactly a shirt and tie kind of place. Unlike Mr. Frigid from Atlas. Naruto says, pointing at Sasuke. HN. Sasuke make a sound of indignation. That's unusual. Sai says. Why would you go to Vacuo, Sasuke? A certain program there interested me. That's all. Sasuke tells Sai. Speaking of which, where are you from, Sai? Naruto asks. I'm from Mistral. Sai tells them. Wow, you guys are all over the place. FK says, getting out of the bathroom dressed in a red plaid skirt, a brown jacket with a tan vest, and white shirt with a red ribbon tied at the collar. That's cool considering I'm from Vale. She reveals to her team. I guess our team has a representative from each kingdoms. Naruto says. So it would seem. Sai says. Maybe it would be a good idea to tell each other our semblances. That's not a bad idea since it will give each of us a better insight to our team's abilities. Sasuke agrees with Sai. Let me go first. FK says excitedly. My semblance is called disorientation. I can opponents lose their sense of direction or put them in a state of confusion. So that's how you got the heads of the King Tajitu to turn against each other. Sasuke says in realization. Yep. FK replies. Sai decides to go next. My semblance is called ink animation. I use my aura to make my drawings come to life, as you have all already seen. Sai says as everyone nods. My semblance is called Amenitejikara. Sasuke begins to explain. I can essentially switch myself and others with other things within my field of vision. That will certainly cause a lot of friendly fire. FK comments. My semblance is called Crisis. Naruto starts talk. It increases my physical abilities and instinctual senses the more damage I take as a fight goes on. It sounds like the ultimate battle-based semblance. Sai comments. Wow. FK says. Naruto rubs the back of his head in embarrassment. You forgot to mention that it gives you emotional issues. Sasuke says. Naruto glares at Sasuke. That's why I try to end a fight as soon as possible to avoid a crazy situation. What does that mean? Sai wonders while FK remains silent, having an idea about Naruto's situation. But before they can talk further, they hear Weiss's voice. It's 8:55, you dunce. Weiss yells as she rushes out of her team's room. Down the hall, the members of NFSS, rwby, and JNP are peeking out from their doorways to look at her go. Everybody is wearing their uniforms. The class. A flabbergasted Ruby says as runs out, followed by Yang and Blake. Class Jaune says in confusion as he loses his balance and ends up toppling Nora, Purrit, and Ren on top of him. He manages to get out from under them and start dashing. We're gonna be late. Jaune yells as his team dashes with him. Though we still have time before going to class. FK says as she looks at their dorm's clock showing it was 8:31 am. Then Team NFSS check their scrolls to see that it is now 8:56 am. I guess our clock is busted. Naruto says as goes towards the window to open it. What are you doing? Sasuke asks. Last one there has to pay for the team's lunch. Naruto yells as he jumps out the window, taking a shortcut. Well, can't have our leader being a complete deviant now, can we? Sai says, going after Naruto. Sasuke just sighs. Damn it, Naruto, it's too early for these shenanigans. FK laughs. I think that makes things fun. HN. Sasuke says. Hey Sasuke, I want to tell you that my number is 7. FK says as Sasuke raises an eyebrow. I'll see you in class. FK says as she also jumps out the window. What does the number 7 have to do? Sasuke's eyes begin to widen as he realizes what FK is saying. Knowing way, her too. Sasuke yells as he also jumps out the window after his team. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Beacon Lecture Hall. X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X X. Outside the classroom with 2 minutes to spare, Team NFSS arrives first of the 3 teams running late, with Sasuke being the only one huffing and puffing. We made it, and Sasuke, you came in last. FK exclaims. Looks like you us lunch. Naruto says. I honestly thought that with your semblance you would win easily. What happened? Sai says. Shut up, Sai. Sasuke tells Sai as they entered the classroom. Shortly after that teams RWBY and JNPR arrive. The sight of an axe blunderbuss weapon pans down to the boards displaying various species of Grimm. Arriving in the classroom an elderly teacher named Peter Port. Monsters. Demons, prowlers of the night. Professor Port begins to explain. Yes, the creatures of Grimm have many names, but I merely refer to them as prey. Haha. The members of NFSS, seated on the row above RWBY, just remain silent to the professor's bad joke. And you shall too, upon graduating from this prestigious academy. Port continues. Now, as I was saying. Vale, as well as the other 3 kingdoms, are safe havens in an otherwise treacherous world. Our planet is absolutely teeming with creatures that would love nothing more than to tear you to pieces. And that's where we come in. Huntsman. Huntress's Port says as he gives Yang a wink, which she groans uncomfortably at. Individuals who have sworn to protect those who cannot protect themselves. From what, you ask? Why, the very world. That is what you are training to become. But first. A story. A tale of a young, handsome man me. When I was a boy. His words fade into the background and a series of blahs when Weiss notices Ruby is very focused on penciling the paper in front of her. Despite smelling of cabbages, my grandfather was a wise man. Peter, he told me as Port continues talking. Naruto falls asleep at this part. The speech evolves into more blahs as Ruby chuckles at her creation and shows it to her teammates. A ball with limbs and a head drawing of the teacher with stink lines coming from him and Professor Poop written underneath. Ruby blows a quick raspberry. Blake and Yang laugh, but Weiss looks annoyed. Ahem. Port waits until he has their attention again. In the end, the Beowulf was no match for my sheer tenacity, and I returned to my village with the beast in captivity and my head held high, celebrated as a hero. The teacher takes a bow as Weiss slowly gets more and more frustrated with Ruby's antics. The moral of this story? A true hunters must be honorable. Port begins listing hunter traits. While Ruby is balancing an apple on a book with her pencil held only by her finger making a silly face, Naruto wakes up when Sasuke hits him in the head. The true hunter must be dependable. Ruby has fallen asleep again in the first class of the year. The true hunter must be strategic, well-educated, and wise. Ruby is not so subtly picking her nose, much to Weiss's building anger. So, who among you believes themselves to be the embodiment of these traits? Naruto looks at Sasuke. What? Sasuke questions. You aren't going to raise your hand. I'm not that arrogant, Naruto. Sasuke says. An angry Weiss raises her hand. I do, sir. Weiss on the other hand. Sasuke comments. I wonder what's going on with her. Naruto says. Well, then, let's find out. Port says as he turns to gesture at the glowing red eyes surrounded by shadow shaking the cage that traps it. Step forward and face your opponent. The unknown monster continues to growls. We will take a break for a few minutes. After a few minutes Weiss has now changed back in her regular attire, readying her Murdernister at the growling creature in the cage barely seen at the end of the last episode. Her teammates cheer her on from their seats in the front row. Ooh, Weiss. Yang says raising her fist. Fight well. Blake says waving a small flag saying RWBY. Yeah, represent Team RWBY. Ruby says. Lowering her sword for a moment Weiss looks over at her leader. Ruby. I'm trying to focus. Oh, I'm sorry, Ruby says looking sheepish. Alright. Port says next to the cage, pulling out his weapon bloward. Let the match begin. The professor swings down and breaks the lock, dropping the cage door and revealing the Borbodisk inside, which immediately charges at Weiss. She uses Murdernister to deflect its attack and roll to the side, readying herself for its next move. The Grimm stands a distance away from its enemy, studying her. Haha. Wasn't expecting that, were you? Port says. Hang in there, Weiss. Ruby cheers Weiss on. Weiss is now speeding towards the oncoming Borbodisk, sticking her blade straight at its skull until they meet and Murdernister is trapped in the beast's tusks. Weiss is still hanging on to the hilt and is tossed around as she struggles to get the rapier back. Bold, new approach. I like it. Port says. Bold. More like reckless. Sasuke says. Weiss. Naruto thinks worrying about his friend. Come on, Weiss, show it who's boss. Ruby encourages her teammate. Weiss turns to glare at Ruby, only for the Borbodisk to turn its head and rip the sword from her grip. Murdernister lands far away from its master, who is knocked back by the creature's tusks. Oh ho. Now what would you do without your weapon? Port asks. Naruto looks like he wants to jump out and help, but Sasuke gives him a look knowing that Weiss needs to fight on her own. Weiss looks up just in time to see the Borbodisk charge again, rolling out of the way just in time to avoid getting trampled and make it crash into a desk. Weiss rushes at her sword and slides to get it back in her hand. Weiss. Go for its belly. There's no armor underneath it. Ruby informs Weiss. Weiss then turns to glare at Ruby but doesn't say anything, and Ruby flinches at Weiss's glare. Meanwhile, the Borbidisc leaps into the air and rolls into a ball, spinning rapidly in the air and landing on the ground, consistently gaining speed until it launches itself at Weiss. It comes closer and closer, but Weiss activates one of her blue-white circles and blocks the roll, leaping up into the now black snowflake symbol and turning it blue again so she can drive the blade into the Borbidisc's stomach. It squeals and falls silent while Weiss gasps in relief. Bravo. Bravo. It appears we are indeed in the presence of a true huntress in training. Port says as Weiss stands up at attention from her exhausted position and Ruby continues to frown. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to cover the assigned readings and stay vigilant. Class dismissed. Weiss glares and turns away, walking hurriedly to the exit past her teammates as Ruby goes after her. Sheesh, what's with her? Jaune Arc says watching her leave. The remaining members of Team rwby and NFSS look at each other with the same question. That's what I'm going to figure out. Naruto thinks as he goes after Weiss and Ruby. Weiss is still storming off, but Ruby turns a corner and manages to catch up with her. Weiss. Ruby yells at her teammate. What? Weiss says while turning around. What's wrong with you? Why are you being like this? Ruby. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Weiss angrily asks. You're supposed to be a leader. But all you've been so far is inconsistent. What does that mean? Ruby asks confused by Weiss's comment. It's exactly how it sounds. Weiss begins to say. Back in the forest you acted like a child then like a combat tactician, this morning we were completely disorganized and in class you've continued to act like a child. Weiss, where is this coming from? What happened to all the talk about working together? I thought you believed in acting as a team. Ruby asks. Not a team led by the current you. Weiss begins to say. I've studied and trained. Quite frankly, I deserve better. Weiss turns her back to Ruby, who tries to reach out, but dropping her hand with Weiss's next sentence, you better get yourself together before Ozpin realizes he made a mistake. Weiss walks away out of sight as Ruby looks dejected. Yikes, Weiss really said a lot. Naruto says standing right behind a surprised Ruby. Is she right? Did Ozpin make a mistake? Ruby says looking doubtful, even on the verge of tears. Poor girl, Weiss really did it this time. Naruto thinks. Look Ruby, I honestly don't know what Ozpin is thinking. Naruto begins saying. Personally when we did the initiation I thought Ozpin was crazy leaving partner pairings random like that. But as leaders that is up for debate. What do you mean? Ruby asks not sure what Naruto means. In the case of my team as much as it pains me to say it in terms of basic knowledge and emotional control, Sasuke would have been the best leader because I think Sai has some social things to work on and FK is a bit wild like myself. Ruby laughs a bit knowing that FK does have her wild moments. In the case of Jaune's team I think either Purah or Ren could have been the leaders as Jaune has some work to do on his skills and Nora is also wild. Ruby nods understanding so what Naruto is saying so far but she is getting the feeling she won't like the next comparison. In the case of your team I honestly don't know who would be a good leader. Naruto says. Huh? Ruby says not expecting that answer. Ruby you seem like you are really good with that weapon of yours and you have a cooperative personality but you lack experience. Ruby flinches at that comment. Weiss has good skills but her current attitude would make it hard for people to like her without working hard to understand her. Ruby nods her head understanding that feeling. I honestly don't know much about Blake but she seems to have good emotional control and she must have good combat skills, however, she seems too antisocial. Ruby wonders more about Blake as well. Finally your sister Yang she seems wild as well. Can't deny that about Yang. Ruby giggles at that but gets a little upset again. So what are you trying to say Naruto? Well you lack experience, Jaune lacks skills, and I have some wild tendencies we were all selected as leaders anyways despite our flaws. Do you know why? Naruto asks her. No. Ruby just shakes her head saying. Naruto smiles his hand on her head as she blushes. It's because we were able to make the people around us act. Ruby's eyes widen. Leaders don't always have to be the best person for the job, but they have to be able to influence others around them and take charge of a situation. That's why you, Jaune, and myself became leaders. I see. Ruby says now understanding why she has been chosen. So how long are you going to keep your hand on my head? Ruby asks. Oh, sorry about that. Naruto says as he takes his hand back. I guess I'll see you later Ruby. As he begins walking away. Yes see you later. Ruby says touching head. Oh Ruby one more thing. Naruto says looking back at Ruby. Don't worry about your inexperience so much. You have a lot of potential in you, just work hard and you'll do fine. Naruto says before leaving as Ruby smiles at Naruto's faith in her. He's right you know. Ozpin says appearing out of nowhere surprising Ruby. But let me add a little more to what he was saying. I've made more mistakes than any man, woman, and child on this planet. But at this moment, I would not consider your appointment to leader to be one of them. Ozpin begins explaining. Being a team leader isn't just a title you carry into battle, but a badge you wear constantly. If you're not always performing at your absolute best, then what reason do you give others to follow you? Ruby looks thoughtful with Ozpin's words, then smiles at him. Ozpin continues talking, turning back on Ruby, walking away. You've been burdened with a daunting responsibility, Ruby. I advise you take some time to think about how you will uphold it. Ruby, with a last look of consideration, turns and walks away to her dorm as the sun begins to set. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX see Weiss on the rooftop, minding her own business as she sighs at the events that transpired today. Lean for your thoughts. Weiss gets surprised at the voice behind her and turns to see Naruto. What are you here for, Naruto? Weiss asks her acquaintance. I heard you talking with Ruby in the hall today. Naruto says to Weiss. So are you here to condemn about what I said to her? Weiss asks. Not exactly. Naruto admits. What you said to Ruby was harsh, but it made some sense. However, trying to demoralize her isn't going to make things better. I see. Weiss says. So why are you here? I am worried about you. Naruto says today you seemed all over the place. How would you even know that, weren't you asleep for most of the class? Weiss asked with a raised eyebrow. I woke up for the most important part. You got increasingly frustrated and it showed in your reckless fighting style today. Naruto tells her honestly. Now you are being a hypocrite. Weiss begins to tell him, getting frustrated. First you tell me to take more risks and now you want me to take less risks. Make up your mind. Taking risks isn't the same as being reckless. Naruto begins to tell her. You let your frustration and anger you have built up before your fight and it influenced how you fought. That is the difference. Weiss scoffs at him. You sure don't act like it's a difference. Naruto sighs. My semblance is essentially a battle enhancer that progressively gets stronger as the fight goes on and the more damage I take. Plus with the crazy amount of aura I have, the risk factor is almost negated aside from some anger issues and a battle craving. I'm hardly role model in that scenario. Then what should I do? I have to better. I have to be perfect. Weiss explains with her frustration increasing. This causes Naruto to raise an eyebrow. Princess, your skills are okay for now. You don't need to push yourself so much. Naruto tells Weiss. Then something just snaps in Weiss as she draws her weapon. You don't get it. Weiss yells as she swings her rapier in an arc as her momentum stopped mid-swing. Now a bit calmer, Weiss thinks more clearly. Why did my arm stop moving? Usually I have more momentum than this. Drip. Once Weiss heard that dripping sound, her blood run cold as she slowly looks up to see that Naruto caught the blade of her rapier with his bare left hand and that he is now bleeding. What have I done? Weiss thinks with her eyes widening. Your weapon is certainly sharp. Naruto says, feeling a bit of pain. Let go. Weiss says quickly. No. Naruto says to her. Let go. Weiss says in a panicked voice. Naruto notices the change in Weiss's voice. Not until you tell me what's going on. He tells her, determined to get some answers from her. Please, I don't want any more blood on my hands. Weiss begs as tears fall from her eyes, her legs give out and she lets go of her weapon. Naruto's eyes widen hearing this. He gently puts Weiss's weapon on the ground and turns on his aura to quickly heal his hand. He then crouches down and puts his right hand on her shoulder, getting her attention. It seems that you are carrying a very heavy burden on your shoulders, Weiss. Naruto says to her. Weiss quickly stands up and tries to compose herself. Of course I do. I'm the heiress to the Schnee Dust Company, Weiss begins to say before getting interrupted. That's not what I meant, Weiss. Naruto corrects her. You have something else that's much stronger driving you. Weiss could only nod her head at his response. Do you want to talk about it? Naruto asks. No. Weiss says in a low tone, looking dejected. Naruto notices Weiss looks very uncomfortably and decides to hold back a bit. Okay Weiss, I understand. But if you do want to talk I will listen. Says as he grabs Weiss's rapier, wipes the blood off the blade on his pants and gives it back to her. Thank you, Naruto. Weiss says, taking her weapon back and feeling grateful that Naruto didn't force the topic out of her. Is it the reason why you yelled at Ruby? Naruto asks her. Yes. Weiss begins to answer him. I know Ruby can be a good leader. She gave out great directions when dealing with the Nevermore, like teaming me up with Blake because Ruby saw that my semblance would work well with Blake's semblance. Naruto whistles. Sounds like Ruby has good eyes for battle formations. Naruto says. She does. That's why her acting like a child frustrated me so much today. Weiss admits to Naruto. Listen Weiss, Ruby has a lot to offer, just give her a bit of time and I'm sure everything will be fine. Naruto recommends to Weiss. Maybe I was a bit quick to judge. Weiss admits out loud. Thank you Naruto. Weiss thanks him again. No problem. Naruto tells her before deciding to do one more thing. So you noticed I was asleep for most of the class, right? Naruto asks. Yes I did. So what? Weiss says with a raised eyebrow, not knowing where Naruto is going with this. It's flattering to know you took the time to look at me during class. I knew you cared, princess. Naruto begins to tease her again like usual. Weiss rolls her eyes at Naruto's comment. In your dreams. She says in a mocking tone. Naruto gets an amused smirk. So you're giving me permission to dream about you, right? Naruto asks, still teasing her. Weiss blushes in embarrassment at Naruto's comment. You stupid fox. She yells at him as she stomps away. Naruto laughs at Weiss's actions. It's good to have her back. Now, how long do you plan to be a peeping Tom, Sasuke? Naruto says as Sasuke appears from the shadows of the entrance to the dorm building. Naruto, we need to talk now. Sasuke tells Naruto in a no-nonsense voice. Naruto gets the message immediately. What is it this time? Naruto asks Sasuke. Did you know about FK? Sasuke asks. I wasn't sure at first, but she confirmed it last night. Naruto replies. Naruto, do you understand what this means? Sasuke asks Naruto. You shouldn't worry so much, Sasuke. FK seemed to have a good handle on herself. Naruto tells Sasuke. I can't believe the nonsense coming out of your mouth. Sasuke begins saying. Naruto, you of all people should know what this means. Minato and Arashi aren't here now. If the worst case scenario happens, I don't know if I can suppress both you and FK. It could lead to a repeat of what happened 7 years ago. If that happens. Sasuke. Naruto interrupts his friend before taking a deep breath. I'm fully aware of the consequences if me and FK lose it. That's why we need to do everything we can to improve ourselves. All we need is a little faith. Naruto tells Sasuke. Sasuke sighs. I really hope you know you are doing, Naruto. Yeah, me too. Naruto says as they both begin to walk back to their team's dorm. So how long were you in the shadows for? Naruto asks. Only long enough to see you flirting with Weiss. Sasuke says. I'm just teasing her a bit, not flirting with her. Naruto tells Sasuke. Yeah right, and I'm the headmaster of Shade. Sasuke says sarcastically as they both reach their dorm. At this rate everyone at Beacon will know about your, Sasuke begins to say as he opens the door, but when he does a huge ink hand knocked him back on the ground. Sasuke's eye twitches as he hears Naruto and FK laughing as well as Sai looking down at him with that fake smile. Man Sasuke, you must really like to be punished if you continue to say crazy things. Naruto says with a fake smile as he goes into the dorm. You Naruto. Sasuke says getting up, sticking out his middle finger. I don't swing that way, Sasuke. Naruto tells Sasuke as they fall asleep for the night. What if Naruto uses a katana rwby harem? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.